Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to a Thursday edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, along with Jason Lloyd and Tyvis Powell. I'm Adam the Bull. On the other side of the glass, we've got Mike, we've got Steve, we've got Anthony, Earl up in the perch. Mike, who's our title sponsor today?
Our show today is brought to us by Living for We. Living for We is an award-winning podcast from Idea Stream's Public Media, part of the Connecting the Dots initiative between race and health. New episodes drop every other Tuesday. You can listen to Living for We wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, guys, lots on the docket today. We've got the Guardians winning a game yesterday. Clase gave up a run but got the save. We have the Cavs about to play Indiana. Oh, about is a little strong, but
may
they're going to
the
play Indiana
fourth be with us.
after we saw what happened yesterday. And, of course, the Cleveland Browns, there's always something going on in terms of quarterbacks. We'll hear from Joe Flacco, who was on my podcast yesterday, in just a minute. But, Tyvis, you apparently have a big statement or comment to make here. What's going on?
So, you know, as you know, since I've become an employee of Tegna,
Yes.
I get these things called PTO, right?
Time off, yes.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't, in my thing, I didn't negotiate like
Yes.
a ton of it because I don't take days off.
Yeah.
So I'm,
A slap in the face to your colleagues, by the way. Go ahead.
so anyways,
Yeah.
my wife tells me,
Yes.
the lieutenant comes in there and she says, we're going to this wedding and her best friend's brother is getting married.
Where?
In Miami.
Welcome to Miami.
So I have to use 2 days
Oh!
of my PTO.
Tyvis is going on vacation.
Wow.
First of all,
Breaking news.
Wait a
Tyvis on
minute.
vacation.
Wait, this is
Going on vacation.
This is hold on. This ain't vacation because I don't want to go.
What do you mean you don't want to go?
I don't want to go. So
Well,
how
first of all,
is that
you
a-
are going. Second of all, why would you not want to go? When is it? Is it during the winter?
No, it's May 20. It's the Memorial Weekend, Memorial Day.
Well,
weekend.
that's not over.
I got to flip days with somebody on. Somebody got to take my
I mean, that's
Thursday so I
selfish
can
of the
work
person
Wednesday.
getting married. If you're going to get married in Florida, at least get married in the winter so you can avoid bad weather.
Yeah, well, but yeah, I had to take 2 PTO days.
Now what if somebody
Look at
takes his
that.
job while he's gone?
It probably
Could get
will
Wally
happen.
pipped.
That's
Guys, it looks like I'm making my panel debut that week.
Oh.
Coming for your spot, Ty.
Oh man.
Wait
I'm
till you see
done.
Anthony come in with a detailed breakdown of the footwork by Greg Newsom and Chris Emerson, and just show us this wealth of football knowledge we had no idea.
I think he's more likely to come in with a breakdown of what video games Austin Hedges plays.
No, actually would be a great
I
segment.
got
be.
faith in Anthony. He plays
We
soccer.
should do that. Anthony should go interview all the players on teams and about their video game habits because most players love playing video games.
Yeah, they play Call of Duty.
That would be kind of interesting.
I feel like Jared Allen and I would have a good time.
He
with
plays
that.
Zelda.
yeah,
We
man.
Yeah,
already
he
know what
play like
plays.
Zelda and
You guys
stuff
would be
like
petting
that.
cats.
Actually, do you know what would
playing
be
Dungeons and
hysterical?
Dragons.
We actually could, well, let me not promise anything before I guarantee it.
Yeah,
But when we start making these requests to teams for interviews,
yeah,
let's just start sending Ant.
yeah.
Like a one-on-one sit-down, Ty Jerome and Ant,
Right.
and just and give him no prep. Ant, you
Yeah.
ask whatever the hell you want to ask,
Random
and just see
questions.
what comes out.
would.
And
This would be like Zach Galifianakis between two firms.
That's true,
Yes,
which could
yes.
be very funny. I actually texted Anthony, I think last weekend, because my son and his friend were debating what video game has the most sequels. And, you know, I didn't give a crap, but I was like, I know somebody who will know that. Anthony. And he did know it. What
was it?
I don't, what was it?
It's probably a tie between Call of Duty and Madden, is what we determined.
Right. Okay.
Oh yeah. Let me ask you, Jason. Is LeBron going to leave LA? Is JJ Redick going to get fired?
And he's not retiring either. This is crazy.
A lot of people say it's like is he the reason that the Lakers is bad? Like it's time.
They don't have a center. That's part of the reason why they're bad. And he's 40.
Rudy
Can we
Gobert
stop
went
blaming
for
the 40-year-old on why?
27 and 24
To
yesterday.
be fair, LeBron has never taken the blame for anything.
Oh, I blame
From
him for
most
stuff.
media. Well, maybe you did, but a lot of media members.
No, that's fair.
It's always the coach's
But I
fault,
think the window's over now. He's 40.
Of course, but he's not retiring. He would not retire without doing a farewell tour, would he?
He wants his. He wants.
Oh, yeah, he wants his flowers from
if
everybody.
they want a center, why won't he give some of the money back so they can afford one?
Well, that's not how that works. Like with the cap and everything else.
Can't do that.
No.
Somebody could. You can't. They got to do something.
I was shocked.
Rudy Gobert went for 27 and 24. Rudy Gobert, a person that's a defensive player, he don't even score. 24, 24, 27.
I'm surprised they lost that series.
They got smoked. They didn't just lose. They got destroyed.
I missed that. I missed the Milwaukee, Indiana one, which Mike gleefully rubbed in my face this morning. I don't remember what all the other picks were, but
let me ask.
I had the Lakers, so I lost that one. Golden State did lose last night. I mean, Jimmy Butler just stinks now.
He
He's
had
hurt.
27 last game.
McNuggets. Let me ask you
He didn't make a
this.
basket last night, did he?
I think he made one. I think he ended up with 3 points.
Does it? Okay, so let's say that you know how the Lakers flamed out and all those things.
Yep.
Does it give any more credibility to what's his name? What's Nico
Harrison?
Does he get any more? Maybe that's what his thought was. He was like,
that was his thought.
It's not going to work in
The whole
LA.
thought process of the Luka thing is dumb. And before I say anything else, I would not have traded Luka under any circumstances. Luka was exposed defensively again last night. He was exposed in the finals last year. He is incredible offensively until he hones part of his game in. Teams are going to hunt him time after time. I'm not saying Nico's right by any means. I would not have made the trade. I wouldn't have even listened to offers for Luka. But yeah, that's what he was saying when he traded Luka.
Nico Harrison's a moron of the highest order. Let's just be honest about that.
I didn't say he's not. I did not say he's not.
What if they?
Even if you were, and you're wrong, you should always listen to trade offers on any player. You should always be open-minded to anything because you never know what's going to come out in the conversation.
I meant if they put him on the market and listen to fair deals.
Right. But
the whole
if
issue
by
is the
some
fact that
chance
they-
you felt it necessary to trade Luka Doncic, you don't trade him for one player who's older and not as good. That doesn't make sense.
They got a first-round pick out of that.
yeah, congratulations.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some other topics here. Mike, get us going, will you?
Yeah, we got a huge show. Before we dive into our first topic, we're going to talk some Cavs in a little bit.
Oh.
And this topic, I'm embarrassed that we actually have to talk about.
We
It's
don't
coming up
have
in
to.
a little-
You've decided.
No, we have
will.
to because so many people have brought this up.
What people?
G.
Random
Bush.
fans?
G. Bush.
G. Bush did.
Did he really?
Jay
Yes,
Crawford
he
has.
did.
Ryan Windhorst was on ESPN this morning and was asked about this because it has become and it's a ludicrous topic. We're going to disprove it. But I just want people to know that we are going to talk Cavs in a little bit with a topic that it pains me that we have to actually discuss, but we do actually have to discuss.
Don't say have
We're
to.
going to start, though, with some comments Joe Flacco made to you, Bull, from a Whole Foods parking lot. And that topic is brought to us by Buckeye State Credit Union. If you're unfamiliar with Buckeye State Credit Union, let me introduce you to the financial friend you didn't know you needed until right now. Buckeye State Credit Union is a local brand offering a wide range of products, from checking accounts to home equity lines of credit and auto loans. They have some of the lowest rates around and are committed to serving Northeast Ohio. The Cleveland location is in Shaker Heights, but there are 5 brick-and-mortar locations across the state. Buckeye State Credit Union is here to help make your life easier. They make banking more convenient, always putting the customer first, so you leave feeling cared for, valued, and respected. Connect, simplify, and adapt. Those are the core values that make Buckeye State Credit Union the right choice for you. For more information, head to buckeyecu.org. Buckeye State Credit Union, your money simplified. Bull, this was on your podcast where Joe Flacco made these comments, so you want to set up what he said, and then you can set us up on the topic.
So I asked Joe, obviously, about the Browns drafting 2 quarterbacks. What his reaction to that was, how much he's paying attention to the draft. I assume at 40 years old, you're probably not paying attention to the draft too much. Would that have been your assumption, guys? Or you think Joe was locked into the draft?
I don't think he's locked in, but he definitely pays attention to who they select.
Thursday night, he's probably watching.
Yeah.
But beyond that.
Yeah, and anyway, he talked about that. There was somebody that responded in the chat about saying I didn't press him hard enough on how much of the draft he was actually watching. I don't know.
Well, you should have done that, Paul.
Why he needed to be pressed on how much
he dropped the ball on that.
Actually watching. And then we talked about the big question, the competition. Will there be a real competition? Does he want there to be? Is that good for everybody? And have the Browns been, have the Browns told him there will actually be a competition? Here's what he had to say. We want there to be a competition. We want the best man to win. It seems obvious that if that happens, that you're going to win the job. Obviously, you got the most experience. You've played well. These guys either didn't play or Kenny Pickett hasn't played much, but we want competition as players. Do you really want that? Like, does every player really, maybe not every player, but do you want competition all the time? Is that good for everybody?
Oh, it's the best. I mean, yeah, listen, I think it's a little bit different situation when you're like, obviously, like you've started for 5 years and had a lot of success. The team's won. Obviously, you're not competing. That's ultimately the way you want it. You've done your competition and then you want to get to that point. Right. But that's always the best. It's best for the team because you're having the best guy play. But not only that, it's when you have a true, honest competition, everybody can kind of accept that. Even if you're not the guy, like you can truly accept it. And it also shows the team, the rest of the team, like, wow, this guy earned it. I think it means a lot more when, it means a lot more when people can feel that as opposed to being told that. So it not just from a fan standpoint, from a locker room standpoint, from a quarterback room standpoint, I think it's only good things that when you have those competitions because everybody knows it's real in the end, and then they feel really good about moving forward with that.
Do you believe there'll be a real competition for the Browns?
Listen, I've been told that they're going into this thing with an open mind and looking at it in that way. So, somebody in my position, I really don't have any reason not to trust, and I really don't have any other option but to trust that. So, that's what I'm thinking.
If you want to hear the complete interview, of course, check out my podcast, The Bullpen, on YouTube. All right, guys. So, and Mike, good job by you noticing the Whole Foods. I did not notice it at all, even though it's pretty obvious. It's right behind him. By the way, when we finished the interview, when we stopped recording, because we recorded it and then we put out the podcast a little later, he started driving, but we were still chatting. Like, we were chatting off the air, and he was driving. And one of my producers, his nickname is Z, he's a big, even though he lives in Canada, he's a big Browns fan. And as soon as we got done, he's like, I was so panicked that he was talking to you while he was driving because I was worried he was going to get hurt while he was getting into an accident while he was driving. We know, Jason, you're a lunatic. You drive while watching movies on the phone, whatever.
Read books, movies.
Yeah. Can I just say, thank God it was Whole Foods and not Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my goodness.
Just for the record.
He's never going to live that down. He's never going to live that down.
Oh, yeah. He moved on to Applebee's. Go ahead.
I like everything he said. I think that he was 100% right when he talked about the competition because you come into the season like, all right, say you are, I don't know, say you Joe Batonio. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm solidified. I will be playing left guard in this season. But you do get interested in seeing different guys go out there and compete. Like, okay, I do like this quarterback a little bit better. He does communicate a little bit better. Or I see us making plays and he moves the ball down the field a little bit. Like, those things do matter, and everybody do notices those things. And when you talk about competition, what it does is it challenges you to be your best every day. Like, I have to be the best Tyvis every day because if I don't, that guy's going to beat me that day and he's going to move up the scale. So I do like the fact that it's an open competition. I do believe that, listen, at this point, like, it doesn't matter who the starter is. Like, I don't think nobody right now has a leg up on the competition because everybody's kind of zero from ground zero. Everybody would think it's Joe Flacco, but Joe Flacco, as we know, like, as good as he played, at some point he's going to fall off a cliff. Like, that's just what it is. He's going to give you 5-6 games, and then it's going to fall off a cliff. If he does start, I'm not going into the season saying this guy's going to start 17 games. It's like that's not going to happen. So you have to make sure that those guys behind him is ready to go. Injuries is also a part of the game. Kenny Pickett, to me, I think he's on a short leash because of the fact that who said that he take care of the ball and then now we figured out he don't.
Jason,
he does. Look at his interception rate compared to Flacco.
I'm looking at it right now.
I'm saying,
but it's as many interceptions as touchdowns.
Like, what's his career interception rate? It's like it's
1.9%
or 2.9%. He doesn't throw it. I don't know where this idea is that Pickett throws a ton of interceptions. He doesn't.
He threw 15 touchdowns and 14
touchdowns, 40 interceptions. That's not good.
What is his interception? His interception rate per attempts. What is his interception percentage? It's not
1.9%.
Thank you.
Well, what's
Flacco's?
There's no context there.
Yes, there is.
Wait a minute.
How many times do you drop back to pass, and how many times do you throw
where
to
does
the other
the 1.9 rank? I don't know where that
Joe
ranks.
Flacco's 2.4.
There you go.
He only threw
We know
15 touchdowns in his
Joe's 2.4
career.
for his career?
Career.
That's an unfair comparison. One guy's played 1 million games, one guy's played like 25 games.
He only threw 15 touchdowns in a career this far?
Yeah, that's terrible.
He had 2 years as a starter.
15
I know,
touchdowns?
horrible.
Man, get
I
out of
know.
here. Miss me with that.
right,
Miss me
listen,
with that.
anyway.
That's ludicrous.
My
Anyway,
point was
I could
he
go
doesn't
get
throw a
15
ton of
touchdowns in a
interceptions.
year.
He doesn't. He
Mike,
doesn't
where
throw a
does
ton of
where does 1.9 rank? We have no
Give me a player. I'll look up. I can't. There's not like a way to sort that.
What is Baker's percent? His is high. He probably turns the ball over more than anybody.
Jared Goff.
Baker Mayfield? I could do this. Give me 1 sec. Baker Mayfield career interception ratio 2.7.
I don't think 1.9 is that good.
Jared
Well,
Goff.
you just named 2 that are higher.
Well, because those guys have Baker's the worst.
Well, you're sitting there telling me he turns it over all the time. He doesn't.
Jared Goff 4.8.
What about Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes career interception rate 1.8.
Yeah, he's a real turnover machine, ain't he?
But that Patrick
Okay.
Mahomes
Joe
also
Burrow.
been
I'll give
playing.
you just
He's
Burrow
not a
real quick.
touchdown machine, I can tell you that.
I never said he was.
Oh, what
Joe
the heck?
Burrow,
That's the part of
1.8.
the job.
No, all I said, the whole point that
What'd you
he's
say
making a big
Burrow
deal out
was?
of.
1.8.
Another turnover machine, Joe Burrow.
All I said was
Josh Allen 2.3.
the touchdown to interception ratio sucks.
No, all I said.
Okay.
The only thing I said was he doesn't throw a ton of turnover. He doesn't throw a ton of interceptions.
He also-
doesn't throw it to the other team.
He also-
That's all I said.
He also threw a
He has the exact same interception rate as Lamar Jackson. That's
That's
his comp, Lamar Jackson.
Well, that's the only thing he's the comp to Lamar.
I was going to
Jackson.
say, maybe the only comp, they have the exact same interception ratio.
That's the only point I was making.
Now,
He doesn't
wait,
throw a
Those guys
ton of
have all played a
interceptions.
lot
Wait
more
a
than
minute,
him,
though.
too.
Let me be fair, because the offense of play calling in Pittsburgh is terrible. Like, it's very,
It's true. It's great here.
like, high schoolish, like that. Like, it's that bad.
It's been top of the line here.
Wasn't well. Last year was a disaster.
So
But
I
anyway.
would, but at 15 to 14, like, that
sucks.
yeah, that's
No,
terrible.
I didn't say anything about his touchdowns. The only thing I said was he doesn't throw a ton of interceptions. That's it.
Well, neither does Dylan Gabriel or Shadour Sanders.
Which is why this is not a fair quarterback competition. Anyone who thinks this is going to be a fair, right down the middle quarterback competition, come on.
So who's getting?
it's not.
So who got the leg up?
If it's a tie, all right, let's say it's a tie. It's a tie between Flacco and I don't care who. Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
You really think they're going to play 40-year-old Joe Flacco over Shadour Sanders if it's a tie?
that wouldn't make sense.
Huh?
You always go with the younger guy.
Right.
That's why
Even if it's
tie.
remotely close, you go with the younger
But
guy.
why
Then
wouldn't
it's not a fair competition.
if you're trying to win, and I know we've talked all about it, you got to have a higher draft pick. The team wants to win. The players want to win.
Players
the coaches
wanna
want to
win.
win.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So there is no downside to having a fair competition. Now, they told him that. He's not making that up. Are they telling him the truth? That's another story. Obviously, you don't think they're telling him the truth.
No. I don't see any benefit from playing a 40-year-old Joe Flacco.
Well, if you're trying to win, if you think he
So
gives you
what
the
you're
best chance to
saying,
win.
what you're saying is, Joe Flacco will not be on the final 53 for this team.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
Hey, Bull, real quick.
here's the
Hold on real quick.
Go ahead.
So I found what you were asking for earlier.
Yeah.
I sorted out over the last 5 years
Yeah.
interception percentage, which is number of passes thrown
Yeah.
to the interceptions. It has nothing to do with touchdowns.
Yeah, I know.
1.8 ranks in the top 10.
Okay, so he's middle of the pack then.
He's 1.9. How's that middle of the pack?
Well, if one point,
1.9 is top 12.
all right, so he's 12. But he
Everything under that is 2, 2
I-
ones,
I
2
just-
twos.
all he did, he was bad with Pittsburgh.
Correct.
That's why they moved
wasn't-
on from
He
him.
wasn't great.
But was he really given like a chance though?
Yes.
He was a starting quarterback
but
for 2 years.
saying, like they ran the ball a lot though.
Well, that's the thing is like we don't listen to say he doesn't turn the ball over a lot. Okay, the percentage-wise so far he's been fine. He's been okay to the top 12. Okay, not bad. But my opinion, watching him play over time, if he played more, he'd turn the ball over more.
He's got 2 full seasons as an NFL starting quarterback.
How many games has he played? That's not a lot.
Kenny Pickett has
34,
played 30 games in his career, started 25 of them.
Okay, so
He's
he started
15 and
25
10.
games. That's not even 2 full.
1.5.
15 and 10 as a starter.
Who cares about record?
I'm just
Yeah.
Oh, don't do
Just
that.
giving you numbers.
Hold on now, because Phillip.
He's got
Phillip
7
lost
game-winning
one
drives,
record now.
6
lost
fourth
one
quarter
game.
comebacks.
That's it.
I mean, it is important.
Win-loss record, no.
If
It's an
you-
indication of the team more than the player.
Here we go.
When it's a player. Dude, are we really going to try to argue that he played well for Pittsburgh?
No,
he was
nobody's
terrible.
arguing that.
Yeah.
But P.J. Walker puts me over the edge because he's not a good quarterback. But you can't totally dismiss a quarterback's win-loss record either.
When it's, I think you can when it's a limited number of games and when you clearly know the quarterback's not that good.
Bull, what do you make of the fact? And
Why you
I
hate
don't know what to
Phillip,
make
bro?
of it.
Let me tell you this.
He is-
Let me tell you why I think the Browns are better off going with Flacco and the 2 rookies rather than Pickett and the 2 rookies.
Tell us why.
If Flacco is, if Pickett is starting week 1, there will immediately be pressure on the organization to play at least one of the rookies.
Fact.
That's a fact.
There is nobody in this fan base that wants Kenny Pickett to be the starter. Nobody's excited about Kenny Pickett.
Oh.
And there will be pressure outside the organization. There's nobody on the team, is my guess, that would be excited about Kenny Pickett. Whereas there would be veteran players that would probably rather Joe start. And there's certainly amongst the fan base are going to be more patient because they like Joe. I don't know if that matters or not. That may be just perception. Maybe it doesn't matter at all. Maybe, teams shouldn't care about that stuff. But it happens.
I don't think teams do care about it. If you don't think there's pressure, you're going to.
There was pressure to start Johnny Manziel.
But yeah, there was.
Yeah.
But do you think that that was internal pressure?
Yes.
Not external. That was internal. If Flacco's the starter day 1, you don't think there's going to be people clamoring to play Shadour? Of course there will.
There will be, but there'll be a lot more if it's Kenny Pickett.
So
That's a fact.
What's 50,000 compared to 100,000? What difference does it make?
50,000.
No, it don't make a difference.
You mean? Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Nobody's
does.
excited to see Kenny Pickett. There are a lot of fans
Totally
excited
agree.
to watch Joe Flacco.
All I'm telling you
Yeah.
is they didn't run out as soon as the season ended and sign Joe Flacco.
I hear you. They gave up a 5th-round pick. Let's not make it seem like they gave up a lot.
It wasn't a lot, but it was their first priority was to go get Kenny Pickett, not to go get Joe Flacco.
Was it their first priority or just
Maybe they listen, hold on. Maybe they thought
Yeah.
that let's go get some guy that has some experience, that's played because we're gonna get 2 quarterbacks in there. Maybe they thought they would take 2 in the draft.
No, they did not.
Hey, it's a possibility.
No, they did not.
Everybody else said we should have.
So
Did you say they should have took?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they didn't. They were not planning.
Well,
on
Andrew
taking
very
2.
specifically said
So
they didn't.
If they,
plan to.
if the plan, do you believe if the plan going into the draft, if they
Yeah.
said we're coming out of this with 2 rookie quarterbacks, did they sign Joe Flacco?
Probably not.
No. So there's your answer.
Yeah.
But Joe Flacco is the only quarterback that's ran Kevin's system kind of the way he wanted
Absolutely.
it ran.
Yes.
So you would want to at least have somebody to at least try to walk and talk the young guys through that.
Well,
Even Kenny.
They also, though, Jason, had they thought about drafting 2 quarterbacks, maybe they don't trade for Pickett and maybe they just sign Flacco because you have more faith in Flacco carrying the team for the first few weeks till one of those guys might be ready to
So
play.
you're saying 100% you believe that Joe Flacco starts the season?
I did not say that 100%. I don't know what the Browns are thinking. I'm saying if it were up to me,
You would start Joe.
I would start.
You would cut Kenny or trade Kenny and keep the
unless if I'm Kevin Stefanski and we've had a conversation internally and we want to lose. And I just think, like, I get it.
They ain't saying
when you take
that.
your heart out of it and it's late in the season and the Patriots win their last game and that costs them the first pick in the draft, okay, I get it. The fan base, to their own detriment, every fan base, to their own detriment potentially, wants to win. They want to have fun.
Of course.
They want to enjoy games.
Yes.
I believe that Joe Flacco probably, I haven't seen him play yet this year. We'll see what happens. And trust me, Joe's flawed.
How was
ain't
he?
playing
How
all
was he
season.
in Indy when he started?
Not great. I think he gives them the best chance to win probably for week 1.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Which is why you don't want him starting.
Well,
Joe Flacco could be the difference.
You need to stop
No.
this tanking stuff. It's really starting to bother
It's
me.
the reality of
No,
where
it's not.
Flacco could be the difference. 100%. Joe Flacco could be the difference in 1 or 2 wins.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Yeah. Which really screws up what you're trying to do.
Well, if they were, but if that trade was all about drafting a quarterback, then why did they draft 2 quarterbacks? It's just so that's
Because you
stupid.
have a year's time, you might as well throw a couple darts.
Well,
you know
and
what the biggest like.
Didn't your owner come out and say we ain't gonna force it, and then they
Yeah.
went out and took 2?
Well, I mean,
Well, but they were later.
A 5th round
Yeah.
value pick, like I'm not, He's right there. You might as well take him. Actually, the worst thing I think that could happen, like they either need to really hit on one of these young guys
or be
really bad. But that in between, if Shadour starts and he shows just enough, they win 7 games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. More on that. I want to continue that conversation. Mike, give us a read
So
first.
real quick, just to bow tie. You believe it will be an honest, open competition between all 4 bowls?
No, I think Jason's probably right. It probably won't be. I think it should be. It depends ultimately it comes down to Kevin Stefanski, is his first priority winning? Even if the organization's first priority is not winning. If it is, then there's going to be an open competition.
The head coach doesn't always pick the quarterback.
That's true. That's fair. Go ahead.
Tyvis, just a yes or no, honest, open, fully, or do you think there's some extra stuff at play here? Shenanigans.
When you talk about the NFL, you can never use the word honest or loyal or any of those things.
Yeah.
So therefore, the answer is no.
All right, let's get to our next topic, guys. It kind of plays off this. It's brought to us by Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and wondered, where did my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. It's not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spendings in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. So, guys, Dane Brugler, who we love, been on the show multiple times, said this is his least favorite project every year. And they ask him to do it every year because it gets a ton of clicks and it starts the conversation for next year. Nate Tice of Yahoo did it. Jordan Reed of ESPN did it. They all come out this week, but it is the way too early 2026 mock draft.
When fans complain that you did something for clicks, this is exactly true.
Now, however, this topic gets us right back to where we were going and a discussion that I know you and Jason disagree on, and I think we're going to have to bring out the boxing gloves for in a second. Here's what Dane Brugler had in his way too early 2026 mock draft, and he based the order off the projected Super Bowl odds. So this is not his projections where the Browns are picking. This is based off whatever Super Bowl odds Dane Brugler used. In his top 10, this is how Dane Brugler had the top 10 going. Arch Manning going number 1 to New Orleans, a quarterback. Lenore Sellers, the South Carolina quarterback, going 2 to the Jets. Spencer Fano, an offensive tackle, going to the Giants. TJ Parker, the Clemson edge, going to the Titans. And Drew Aller. The quarterback. That's another one like this Shuck.
We're gonna for 12 months he's gonna go Aller.
Oh my God.
Drew Aller. Now I got it. Going to Cleveland. That's what their initial pick. That is the Cleveland Browns pick. They also picked up a first-round pick from Jacksonville that Dane Brugler has falling in the top 10 too. At number 6, Kendrick Falk, the defensive tackle from Auburn. Caleb Downs, the safety, going to Vegas. Caden Proctor, the offensive tackle, going to the Colts. Austin Barber, the Florida offensive tackle, going to Cleveland as the Jacksonville pick in this mock draft.
Now, remember, last year he had 3 quarterbacks in the top 10, none of which went in the first round.
Correct. Shedeur, Carson Beck, and Quinn Ewers. In this mock, he had 3 quarterbacks in the top 10. And, Steve, you want to take the next graphic, he had 5 quarterbacks in the first round. Arch Manning at 1, Lenore Sellers at 2, Drew Aller at 5.
Aller.
Now I'm pissed off myself. Garrett Nussmeier at 16 and Fernando Mendoza at 27. Nate Tice of Yahoo did a mock draft. He had the 4 not named Arch. He said he doesn't think Arch is going to come out. And Jordan Reed of ESPN also had 4 quarterbacks. He did not include Arch Manning. So the 3 main mock draft sites had at least 4 quarterbacks in the first round, which guarantees nothing, by the way. I want to make that very clear. Guarantees nothing.
Yeah.
But the early indications are that the quarterback class next year will be better.
It means nothing. Why are we discussing it?
Because it is the early indications.
Is that
the question I want to ask?
Yeah.
Is that Mendoza dude the one at Tulane?
No, he's the transfer from Cal. He's at Indiana now. He was a Cal quarterback last year.
Indiana got another decent quarterback.
Yes. Very highly touted. Nate Tice had him as his number 1 quarterback.
Any of those guys get you excited, by the way?
Let me see the 5.
I mean, 2 of them I never even heard of personally, but I don't follow college football.
Let me see the 5 again. I'll tell you a little bit. Arch in this career has started 2 games for Texas so far.
Yeah,
so we don't know. Sellers is supposed to be really good. I have not watched South Carolina.
Brad's nephew.
But they say he's supposed to be really good. Drew Aller, I know he's from Ohio. He's from Medina or wherever the heck he's from.
He look like an NFL quarterback.
I don't see it. I don't see it. I've watched this kid for 2 years, and I don't see it. I could be 100% wrong. I hope I am wrong.
He's got a
but
big year
I
in
just
front of him.
Don't see. They didn't get no receivers. They didn't get him no help.
Nussmeier's LSU, right?
Nussmeier is probably. I think he should be higher than that. He's actually
I'm a little surprised he was that.
I think he's probably might.
He was
be the
higher on
best
the
in
ESPN one than
draft next year.
Brugler's.
I mean, Nussmeier might be the first quarterback.
And I'm not hipped on Mendoza.
So let me ask you guys this.
Yeah.
With the context of what we know the Browns did with the number 2 pick, trading back to 5, getting the extra ammunition, then also drafting 2 quarterbacks in the 2025 draft with Gabriel and Sanders. Mm-hmm. Are they approaching the quarterback position the right way? Or, because it's such a crapshoot year to year in the draft, is adding that extra ammunition to potentially get a quarterback down the road a futile thought process and exercise bowl because the unpredictability at that position?
I don't think it's a futile decision, even though Jason and I have disagreed, I think. I think it's been more about Jason has given me the impression he thinks it's an easy move for them. Maybe I've read that wrong. Obviously, as we've discussed, until you have a franchise quarterback, a tier 1, tier 2 quarterback, you are winning nothing long-term in the NFL. It's that simple. You could have one good year with mediocre or bad quarterback play, and then you lose early in the playoffs. That's the best you could hope for without top-notch quarterback play. So, yes, I understand why they do it. I don't, like, it based on Dane Brugler's mock draft, the Browns are stuck with the 3rd quarterback, who Tyvis doesn't see as a good player. So, and that's if Arch Manning comes out. Otherwise, they're to, the 4th quarterback, essentially. And in that scenario, the Browns probably couldn't trade up because the Saints are not going to trade out of there when they need a quarterback. I understand why they did it. Did they increase their odds of being able to access a top quarterback next year? They did. How much? Who knows? We won't know that until we know how many good quarterbacks there are, and until we know the draft order next year. And who needs quarterbacks?
Are you willing to part ways with 3 first-round picks to move up to 1?
If I could get, well, first of all,
let's
say Arch Manning, let's say by next year,
trade all over again.
Let's say Arch Manning does come out.
Okay.
And he's a slam dunk number 1. He's the next great quarterback.
You partner the 2 from
I'd give
next
up
year
anything together.
and the 1 for the following year.
100%. However, if the team picking 1 also needs a quarterback, they're not giving it up no matter what.
That's true.
You know what's unfortunate? The Bills had to trade up for the 3rd best quarterback in Josh Allen that year. Isn't that a shame? The Bills traded up from 12 to 5 and took the 3rd quarterback.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Well, he wasn't the 3rd best quarterback.
No, it was. That's the only point I've made. I think we actually agree more than we disagree.
Yes.
You got to put yourself in the game. And
right.
I'm just not.
They are in the game now.
I'm not a fan of just losing.
Nobody is.
That's the part that I'm having the hardest
Nobody
trouble.
is.
I apologize that I went to a college where we won a lot of games.
Nobody's advocating for nobody's advocating for 1-31 again. It's not necessary.
That's what you saying.
No, I'm not.
That is what y'all.
They went 1-31.
You saying that without saying it's that bad, but yeah, you want them to lose.
Yeah.
The only way for the Browns to get back to being a playoff or potentially Super Bowl team is for them to sail this season. That's what you say.
They are not going to be 1-31 level because they still have Joel Bitonio, they still have Myles Garrett.
Weren't they on the
still
team?
Have Wyatt Teller.
Weren't they on the team when they did it?
No. Myles was a rookie. They went 1-15 to get Myles, and then they went.
They went 3-14 with those guys.
Yes, but that's still not 1-31.
That's close. Don't do that. Don't do that.
1 win over 2 years versus 3 wins in 1 year. What made last year awful?
This past season was miserable.
Yes,
I was miserable.
I would argue it was.
I saw you at the games. You were miserable.
Well, I would argue it was as bad or worse than 1-31 because you knew those teams were going to be terrible, and this team people thought was going to the playoffs, and it was anything but that.
Yeah.
But my point is that 1-31, they stripped any sort of talent off the roster that they had because they were trying to be as bad as possible for 2 years. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you just put an extra finger on the scale sometimes. If it's a close quarterback race, you're going to play the kid. You're not going to play the 40-year-old.
That's a fact.
It could be a difference in 1 or 2 wins that you don't want
No,
right now.
you play
but that's a lot different than 0-16.
That's
I'm not saying this is going to go 1-15.
See, when you say that, like that's not the reason why you play the young guy.
That's part of it. It's 100% part of it.
Nobody,
Yes, it is.
Ain't nobody going into the season thinking about losing no games. I'm telling you.
The players and coaches aren't.
That's what I'm talking about.
I guarantee you the front office and ownership is.
I ain't got nothing to do with that.
But that's who's
I'm
running the
talking out of the
organization.
locker room. I'm not about to go out here and just purposely lose no games.
Of course
you play
not.
the younger guy because it would say, let's see what he's got. Because
Yes.
if we actually got us something here, okay, maybe we don't necessarily need to use these 2 first-round picks on a quarterback.
Yes.
So
And
that's why you play the younger guy.
And the point I was making at the end of the last segment was the worst thing that could happen is he shows just enough to make you believe whoever it is.
Yes, that would be terrible.
And now you're stuck in this purgatory.
stick with him?
Yeah.
Do we, you know.
Do you ride
Well,
this
guess
out?
what's going to happen?
That's probably what's going to happen.
Now, one thing. My only beef with your Josh Allen comment
Yeah.
is that that's really the only example in the last 20 years.
Of the
I just looked through every draft for the last 20 years quarterback.
What about last year's draft?
The first or second quarterback off the board, I spit on myself, has been the best quarterback in that draft every year but 2. Josh Allen won. The only other example was obviously a crazy anomaly in Brock Purdy, who was a 7th-round pick.
Yeah.
There were a few years in there where none of the quarterbacks were any good, so that doesn't matter. But of the 20 years, I would say 12 or 13 of those years, the first quarterback was the best. Another 5, the second quarterback was the best. The last 2 years, it's been the second quarterback with to this point, Jaden Daniels and C.J. Stroud. Yeah. Josh Allen and I don't. You could argue he's not the best. You could argue Lamar Jackson's the best. They were the 3rd and 5th quarterbacks taken in that draft, but that's pretty unique.
Okay. And it's also pretty unique that you only have one quarterback going to the top 10 like this past
That is
year.
the case, too.
So, listen, the Browns could do all this and still pick the wrong guy.
That's right.
Like, I'm almost sure that's probably what's going to happen.
We are on the same page that they gave themselves
is such a
better
Debbie Downer,
chance.
man.
That
I
trade,
have 25 years of evidence.
This is why
that trade gave them a better chance to get their franchise quarterback.
Yes.
You wonder
Will it
why
pan out?
people
Who
say
knows?
what they say about you. This is why they hate you.
I can't worry about
You
that.
can't
Bull,
come
let me
here
ask
and
you
just
this.
shoot
It's
your
good to be
brows
hated.
down.
In terms
your
of
job.
quarterback evaluations, front offices aren't just looking at one draft class in front of them. They're always looking 2-3 years ahead.
Yes.
Tyvis, you know that. Jason,
That's
you know
what they
that.
said.
So they're always looking ahead. Does the fact that not just the Browns, but also the Rams traded for an extra first-round pick next year with an aging quarterback. I don't know who the reporter was, Jason. He sent in the group chat last night, but the guy from Pittsburgh
Jerry
talked
Dulac.
about how the Steelers have circled next year as the draft class. They're going all in on a quarterback, which could change. I understand we're a year away.
They ain't gonna need to. Will
These
Howard's
guys,
there.
these guys are looking not just at the draft class ahead of them, but down the road. Do those future evaluations, do you believe, does that play a factor in how they handled the quarterbacks? Not just the Browns, but just in general.
By the way,
Teams
none
handled-
of those 3 teams, including the Steelers and Rams, have been particularly good at drafting quarterbacks the last 20 years. The Steelers have not drafted a good quarterback since Roethlisberger. The Rams' best quarterback they've drafted is Jared Goff.
Gee, I wonder if it's because the Steelers have never been in position to take a good quarterback.
Well,
The Rams have.
you said you could always trade up.
Yeah, they've chosen not to.
The Rams did draft Jared Goff, and he's okay. But
To answer your question, I think
obviously everybody thinks next year's draft is better.
Yeah.
But again, Dane Brugler thought there would be 3 first-round picks next year, and there were last year, and there weren't.
Yeah, there were 2, right? 2.
It was
Yeah,
2.
Right, but
And it was
the
neither
3
of the
guys
2
he
guys
had,
he
none of them
had,
were those
yeah.
2.
See, the only thing that I think, I agree, a year and ahead,
It's hard.
It's ridiculous. But where I think it's good, like, nobody knows the draft order, and
Yeah.
I mean, it gives you a general idea of the names to watch.
Yeah.
But really, to me, it's more like it's the depth of the position. Okay, 5 projected to go, 5 quarterbacks projected to go.
Yeah.
However many offensive tackles, like how many left tackles?
There's a bunch of tackles in the draft.
So
4
it-
tackles, 5 quarterbacks.
So it starts to give you an idea of what to look for positionally is where is the depth of this draft.
Sure.
I wouldn't get hung up on the names so much necessarily as while they think they're pretty deep at this position. And Mike pointed out the NFL nailed it this year and they nailed it last year. They thought last year was a really good crop of quarterbacks and they were right. They thought this year was going to be down. They were right.
Well,
just in terms of
we ain't seen
we
just
don't know
in
if they're
terms
right
of,
yet,
of
but-
the numbers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and they're projecting next year to be a higher number.
What I'll say is that teams do it all the time where they look at it and they say, we'll get the quarterback later. I mean, think about it. I feel like there's been multiple teams. I think the Eagles did it. They addressed every position with quarterback. I think Miami did it with Tua on Tua's last straw. They wanted to see if he was good, so they ended up getting Waddle and Tyreek. I feel like the Lions did that same thing, and they just ended up having Goff. But I feel like a lot of teams say, you know what, we're going to punt on the quarterback for right now. We're going to fix everything else up, every other position up. And then if we're going to give whoever that guy is the last chance to see if it works. And if he doesn't work, boom, now next year we put ourselves in position to go get the quarterback that could fix all these things.
And, listen, in a perfect world, either Gabriel or Shedeur get a chance and run with it, and they play great. And then the Browns are able to get 2 stud players in theory at other positions in the first round.
I trade both of them picks for next year's first pick and take Jeremiah Smith.
Well, you can't
He's
do
not
that.
eligible.
No, not this year.
Oh,
next year.
Yeah, but you're not going to know who's going to have
I know,
that
that's
pick.
the only problem, but I would do it. I would do it.
Yeah, well, that ain't happening. So,
I thought you guys were going to go to war. I'm a little disappointed that the boxing gloves didn't come
Jason
out.
and I
I'm sad
have
that Bull
argued
changed.
over this topic more than I think anything we've ever argued.
I know. I'm
Probably
sad you
true.
changed your tune today.
And
I agree more with Jason.
My only argument with Jason is the tanking part. I don't see it.
It's not a full-blown tear the roster apart. We're trying to go 0-17.
That's fine.
And it's 1 year.
I'm not purposely
it's
losing
one
the game.
year, and it's more just like I said. You just put a finger on the scale. Just tilt it just a little bit.
Although it is 2 years because last year
they
didn't plan on
trying
it. But
to.
yeah.
You can't play with people's emotions like that.
All right.
I hear you, but front offices do all the time.
I'm not. No. And then you see why people. Then you wonder why people come out and request trades.
But okay, well, Miles is under a lifetime contract now, and Batonio's going to retire at the end of the year anyway. So who are you going to piss off?
Denzel.
Sorry, he's making a ton of money too. Go enjoy your money. It's 1 more year.
Jerry Jeudy.
Okay, I'm not really worried about that.
Jerry Jeudy.
Like, you see the point? I'm like, who are you really going to infuriate? Miles signed up for this. Miles knew what
Do you know
he
who
was
you're gonna
getting
piss
into when
off?
he signed the contract.
You're gonna piss off Nick Carnes here, Jason. How are you gonna live with that?
There you go, Nick Carnes. Jason doesn't
even
know who that is. The reality is that the Browns, no matter who plays quarterback, are not going to make the playoffs, most likely. So I think it's fair to say the players and coaches and fans, players and coaches and fans want to win, even though we know in our brains that the Browns are better off losing next year.
At least make it competitive.
They will. They will. Competitive losses. There's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, if Joe Flacco throws 3 touchdowns and 3 picks every game, it'll be a lot of fun.
It'll be very entertaining.
You know?
Even
if that's the case, just put Shadour in there, and then everybody will make it.
He's gonna
get a chance at some point,
unless he's a total disaster.
So you believe at some point of the 17 regular season games, Shadour Sanders will start?
I think both of them will. I think Gabriel will too.
Yes, they should. You have to. You have to see what you have.
You drafted 2 of them. You're in theory going to draft one next year. You got to find out.
It depends on how the season's going.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, if Shadour starts week 2, week 3, and they take off winning, all right,
different story.
The tanking is over.
Yeah,
there is no because when you're doing it with a kid as opposed to doing it with a 40-year-old, there's a pretty big difference there.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, what do you got for us?
All right, but we're going to talk a little Cavs. We'll get to that Cavs topic after you tell us why Menu RX is such a valuable part of your life.
Well, Dr. Jake May, who runs Menu RX, he and the nutritionists and scientists that work there, they have been studying weight loss for years. I have struggled with my weight being up and down over the years, and believe it or not, I have lost 30 pounds in the last few months. I've kind of stalled out here, and I'm struggling because I've had to come off my weight loss medication because I've had some side effects. And it's frustrating. And instead of completely falling off a cliff and gaining all the weight back, I talk to Jake every week, and he kind of helps me see the bigger picture, and we talk about strategies and stuff like that. For a lot of people out there, if you're struggling with weight, if you've been obese your whole life, if you've gotten heavy in recent years as you've gotten older, Menu RX can help. It's not some chain operation that has one plan fits all, because it doesn't work that way. So if you're done with trendy diets and weight loss plans that are on commercials trying to sucker you into joining them, well, do this. This is the way to go. This is real scientists, real nutritionists, real people making an individual plan to help you. And they even accept many insurance plans, HSA and FSA payments, so it might not cost you $1. So whether you're chasing peak performance, building your dream body, or seeking optimal longevity, MenuRx will help you reach your goals. Go to menu-rx, as you see on the screen.com, to get your consultation today.
Thank you for that, Bull.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to read some viewer comments, which is going to set up this next topic here about the Cleveland Cavaliers. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, if anyone has a certain opinion on this topic, I will mute your mic and kick you off the show. So just a heads up. These are comments.
Bush officially agree with this? Like officially?
Text him on the side. Let's get his official answer. He has a better chance of answering your text than he does my text.
Okay.
Trust me, I've been asking for graphics from 3 weeks ago. He's finally sending me today.
Yeah,
we didn't run the topic 2.5 weeks ago.
All right.
These are all comments we have gotten since Game 3 tipped off in the Eastern Conference playoffs. First one comes from Corrupt Shadow. Mikey, this is a serious question. Are we better without Garland? This is a question that needs to be asked. Does our team flow better without Garland? I know no one wants to ask the question out loud, but inside our heads, we're asking. Next. This is a comment from Jessica Maxiel. I ain't gonna lie. At this point, the Cavs should trade Darius Garland. Next. From Steven Keener. Is it possible this team is better without DG? He hasn't played the last 2 games, and they were complete domination. The defense has been suffocating without DG, and we need to know that as we move towards the Eastern Conference Finals. I love you, DG, but you can't ignore how we've played without him. Next. We low-key might be better without Garland. That's from Cody Caldwell. Next. Derek says the Cavs actually might be better without Garland. These are just some. We could have used 100 more examples of Cavs fans online sending us comments on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, putting into the world, the internet, that the Cavs might be better without Darius Garland. Jason, I want to start with you. Is this the dumbest shit you've ever heard?
Damn, Mike.
It is.
Yes, it's ridiculous. Of course, the Cavs are a better team with Darius Garland on the floor. For whatever part of defensive deficiencies it presents, and it does, he more than makes up for it on the offensive end. He's one of the most clutch players in the league this year. We've been talking about all year. He's got all the numbers to back it up. His three-point shooting is on point. He's a killer on the court. When the discussion was going on about do they need to break up the core four, it was always, for me, it was always the front court. Could you play Evan and Jared together? It was never, in my mind, so much about can Darius and Donovan coexist. They can. They've proven that time and again. They've proven it again this year. That is not – this team's won over 60 games. They were flirting with 70 for a while. They're the number 1 seed. Why are you trying to do this before they've even been given an opportunity – against Boston? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Okay, so they hammered the Heat twice on the road in the playoffs without Darius. I'm not sure that proves anything about how the Cavs are built. I think it shows where Miami was at in all of this. It's ludicrous, it's stupid, and we've already spent too much time on it.
Tyvis?
Everybody knows how I feel about DG. I think that, okay, so I agree with you. Miami is not a great team. But you need him for those games that you play, the Celtics and stuff like that. You need guys that can go get a bucket. Because at a certain point in time, the offense is going to get stagnant and everybody's going to get tired of that. It's going to turn into a one-on-one situation. They talk about it in the playoffs. A lot of the things turn into one-on-one situations. And you need a guy that can certainly go get a bucket on 3 levels. He can finish, he can hit you with the floater, or he can shoot the 3. So it's not many guys on the Cavs. I know we got some great role players that come in and they play their role really well. But you talk about, it's about 3 guys that can create and get their own bucket. And those 3 guys, well, maybe 4. I give you maybe 4. Yeah, I'll give you 4 guys that could probably go get their own bucket, and Darius is amongst those 4, and you're going to need that if you're trying to win a championship. So, yeah, they're not better without Darius.
All right, so I haven't heard from G. Bush. I texted him.
Should I try to call him?
I guess.
I'll call you. You go. I'm going to call him.
So, this is such a high level of stupidity. I'm so annoyed that we're talking about this.
I'm mad we talking about it, too.
I mean, this is it's so ridiculous. I've had these arguments with Jay on the show about people assigning cause and effect to something without proof that it's cause and effect. In other words, Jay and Jason used to constantly be hung up on if Nick Chubb gets this many carries, the Browns would
20.
As if that number was a direct correlation to the win, which clearly it was not.
Yeah.
There were other factors as to why they would win games when they had. You can't create a cause and effect that doesn't exist. You just because you think it exists doesn't mean it does. Are we expected the people that think they're better without Darius Garland because of 2 games against a shitty Miami Heat team? The Miami Heat were the 10th seed in the East. I get it; they have a good coach. They were scrappy and had close losses. They suck, guys. What were they? 10 games under 500.
37 and 45 this year.
Go ahead.
They are a bad basketball team.
Butler railroaded a lot of their season.
Fine. They weren't very talented.
They were more competitive in Cleveland than they were at home. It was a wild series.
It was weird, and it's what happened to them in Miami is hard to explain why they lost that badly. But if you're saying they're better without Darius, you're essentially saying, well, if Darius had played, they might have been close games. There's no rational reason to believe that. It is a coincidence, clearly, that he happened to be out in the games that they won in dominating fashion. By the way, I know they didn't win by as many points, but they dominated the Heat in the first game, especially, they pulled away late, I guess. But, they won both those games by 9 and 20. It wasn't like they were very overly competitive games. Darius Garland is one of the, 30 best players in the league?
Yep.
40 at the worst?
Yep.
I mean, to say you're better without one of the 30 or 40 best players in the league is insane.
That's what people used to say about the Grizzlies with Ja. The Memphis Grizzlies are better without Ja.
Well, fit matters in the NBA. So it is possible that you could have really good players that just don't fit together.
Sure.
That is possible.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's not the case
And
here.
Darius is not a selfish player.
No, not
at
He
all.
leads the team in assists, both regular season and playoffs.
Yes, is he flawed defensively? Sure.
But you know what's crazy about that? With the DG defensive stuff? You're right. Flawed defensively.
Yeah.
Do you know who replaced him in the starting lineup?
Sam Merrill.
Listen, Sam Merrill is not a slouch defensively, but let's not pretend that there is some sort of drastic difference between Sam Merrill. You're not replacing Darius Garland with Dennis Rodman, and all of a sudden the defense is going from good to elite. You replace Darius Garland with Sam Merrill, who's a good defender, and probably a little bit better defender positionally than Darius, but Darius has some other things he's better at, quicker, better hands.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's a giant gap.
The Heat were not that talented.
Yes.
They ran out of gas and they got their ass kicked.
One of the things I think that we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about in the next series, though, is Boston is going to hunt Darius on the defensive end.
Sure.
And they're going to put him in mismatches and they're going to put him in as many pick and rolls as they can. That's still not a reason why you would want to move on from him. It's going to be I think Darius is going to have a problem against Boston.
Wouldn't they do the same to Sam Merrill?
Of course.
Yes,
exactly.
That's what I'm just saying. Yeah, it's exactly the same.
I don't care about Sam Merrill.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Darius being one of the, he's an all-star, one of the best players on this team. And I do think he's going to run into some trouble against Boston because of the way Boston's going to attack him.
Yeah.
But that's still no reason to say, well, you got to move on from Darius.
Right.
We put this in the chat. And what are the poll results right now?
12% of people say yes, we are better without Garland.
Fine. There's always
88% say no.
Revoke their YouTube privileges.
There's always going to be 12% of the fans that think every wacky conspiracy
Fair. I got some numbers real quick.
12%. Stick to your guns. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
You could put a poll in there. Did we actually go to the moon? And probably more than 12% would say no.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
You want us to do that?
100%. There'd be
Some numbers real quick, just because sometimes I like to add numbers to this conversation.
Conspiracy theory.
This season, during the regular season, not playoffs, regular season, the Cavs had an offensive rating when Darius was on the court of 123.2. Of all the guys that actually played, not the Chumo Kikis who played 2 games at the end, that was the best offensive rating by any player on the Cavs this season. When he was off the court, the offensive rating dropped 8.4 points down to 114.8. That was the biggest difference in an offensive rating change on and off court split on the Cavs. They were 4-3 without him this season. They averaged 122 points in those games without Darius Garland, which is about the same as the regular season.
Yeah. Who did they play in those games, though? I mean,
Played
I'd have to have some
Orlando.
context on that.
I mean, it's 7 games.
Yeah.
I could look up exactly the 7 if you want in a sec. But
Yeah.
Orlando and Indiana were 2 of the teams. And when they played without Darius, it was the same numbers. Like 115.3 is a little higher than the average they let up without him, showing the defense over a 7-game stretch.
What's his
wasn't
defensive
drastically
rating,
different.
Darius?
I can pull it up. Hold on one sec.
And tell me Sam Merrill's defensive rating, please. I'm just curious.
Phil for 20 seconds while I pull it up.
I think we missing. I think the people's point.
There is no point.
I
It's
think
idiotic.
what they're trying to say is if the Cavs didn't win it all this year,
Yeah.
if they needed to change something, they think that the Cavs would still be okay if they traded Darius for somebody else. Like I think that's the point. Like they think,
I never close my mind to any
I
possible
think that's
trade,
what
but
this is. I'm trying to put myself in
But
their
they can't
shoes,
do that anyway,
and
Jason,
I
right,
think
'cause of
that's
the
what
cap?
they're trying to say.
That's not even realistic either
Yeah.
because they're in the second
No.
apron, which makes trades.
This is the team.
This is the team, and this is the team they wanted to build.
That's right.
They're happy with what they have. You have a 3-year window.
They-
This postseason and 2
Yeah.
more.
They can't trade Darius because I just got a jersey and I ain't. You know
They're
what
not
I'm saying?
trading them.
I know they're not.
The only
ain't going
question,
anywhere.
the only question is, can they re-sign Ty Jerome? That's the only question, right? I mean, what else could they do? Go
I
ahead.
got your numbers, Bull.
Yeah, please.
Defensive rating this season.
Yeah.
Darius Garland, 113.4.
What?
113.4. 113.4.
But isn't that good?
No,
Oh, I thought 100 was the dividing line.
you want below.
You want lower.
Oh.
Defensive rating
so
lower,
a
good.
defense, the higher, the worse.
Yes.
So that's not good. What is Sam Merrill?
Sam Merrill had a 107.1.
Is that a significant difference between 107 and 113?
That's pretty.
It's a pretty big
Yeah.
difference, but it's on the court, so it's takes into account everyone around you.
What is Trey Young?
I could find if you give me one sec.
He's a defensive liability because he's short.
Trey Young's defensive rating this season, 114.6.
He worse.
Not much, though.
So,
Pretty comparable.
offensive rating for Merrill, though.
What is Luka Doncic?
what is Merrill's offensive rating?
Sam Merrill's offensive rating is just 117.4. So their net rating, the difference between
Yeah.
it's the same. It's 10.3 versus 9.9.
Okay.
The
So
same.
what does that mean?
Nothing.
You wanted Lucas?
So why are we even talking about them?
what's
If they don't-
Luka's
if it doesn't mean
defensive
anything,
rating?
why are we talking about
Hold on,
the
I want to know.
ratings?
I need to know Luka's defensive rating.
Luka had a defensive rating. This is just with the Lakers.
Yeah.
111.5, 111.5.
That's better than Darius.
Yes.
So if the number, if it doesn't mean anything, then why do we use the numbers?
No, you said
No, I'm saying the difference in 10.4 versus 9.9 is that's a very
Okay,
marginal
so
difference.
if they have an equal rating, so what does that say to you? I explained.
That the Cavs are better offensively when Darius is on the court,
Yeah.
and slightly worse defensively, and they're slightly worse offensively in comparison to when
Right.
Sam's on, but a little better defensively.
But what I'm asking is, if the net rating difference between the two is not significant, is Darius not as much better than Sam Merrill as we think he is? Because it seems like to me
No, 'cause
he's a million times better.
It's a lot of it's lineup dependent.
yes.
So who you're playing with, so it's Sam's going in the minutes that Sam's on the court.
So it's not it's not an individual number.
It's a better number from a team perspective. There's some merit to it from an individual perspective.
Yeah.
Yes. It's defensive rating and offensive rating is much better used, I believe, in the totality of
Okay,
the
so it's
team.
not a great stat for individual then.
It's okay. I mean, it paints you a picture. If a guy's number is 98, 97, that's going to be a better defender than a guy who's his 111. But if you're trying to compare apples,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying?
I get it. So then really 113 and 107, if you dove into it with a fine-tooth comb, could be about the same, potentially.
I mean, it depends on who's
don't
around
know.
him, on who's playing around him. Who would you rather have on the floor, Sam Merrill or Darius Garland? I'll take Darius.
Darius
every
Garland,
time.
100 out of
It's
100
10 out of-
times.
yeah.
So anyway,
All right, let's get back and talk something else, guys. I'm glad
Yeah.
we just addressed that. I'm glad we're all on the same point. I have to mute anyone's mics. We're going to talk some Browns again, and this topic for the Browns is brought to us by the Living for We podcast. Gun violence is an epidemic. It's the leading cause of death for teenagers. And on this season of Living for We, we're asking what can be done to end cycles of violence in cities like Cleveland, where the shooters value their reputations over their own lives and see innocent bystanders as just collateral damage. Living for We is more than a podcast. It's a resource for communities tired of chaos and ready to build peace. Living for We tells the real stories from those most affected and solutions from change makers in the communities. The mission is simple: empower communities to create safer neighborhoods free from gun violence by highlighting local heroes. Join hosts Marlene Harris-Taylor and Maisha Watkins every other Tuesday for a brand new episode of Living for We. You can find this award-winning show wherever you get your podcasts, and you can watch full episodes by searching for Living for We on YouTube. It's been a busy 48 hours for Shadour Sanders in Cleveland. He worked out at Browns Fit yesterday morning. He went and ran some hills at a local park. He then just popped by a school, a middle school in the Cleveland Metro School District, and talked to some kids. No press release. This wasn't something that was just a PR stunt. He did it out of the goodwill of his own heart. And here's a little clip from Shadour talking to the kids yesterday.
How's everybody doing? So I just got to Cleveland. I just got here yesterday. I just wanted to come out and see y'all. We working out every day. We got a purpose. We got something we trying to accomplish and achieve. But what inspires me to keep going, I would say knowing I got a lot of people watching me, knowing that I'm a positive influence to the youth. That's why I say what keeps me going. So, like, even coming here seeing y'all, it's not like I have to do anything. I choose to do it. You got two ways you could go about it. You could do what you want to do, not listen and see how it pan out, or you could listen to somebody that got your best interest, that wants the best for you, and then go down that route. So everybody has free will in this room, and, you know, everything may be fun and games now, but whenever real life hit, I don't think it's gonna be that funny if you don't set yourself up the right way. I'm trying to bring Cleveland, of course, a Super Bowl.
Pretty cool move by Shadour just to pop by a local school yesterday and talk to the kids. Curious what you guys think just of him making that notion to go out of his way to do something in the community like that so early in his Browns tenure.
I think I respect it a lot. I mean, it's crazy how people can hate on a guy like that. You know, I think that for him, he realizes that right now, before he takes a snap or anything for the Cleveland Browns, right now he has a ton of popularity. It's a lot of kids that's risked up, legendary. You heard him saying legendary. And I think for him, he wants to, I think he said I know I got a bunch of people watching me, and I want to make sure I am a positive role model and things like that. So, you know, those kids' lives will be impacted. Like, wow, man, we talked to Shedeur Sanders today. Like, you know, and maybe something he said in there, because at this point it's deeper than football. Maybe something he said in there, maybe one of those kids listened and they straightened up, or they was going down the wrong path and they met Shedeur, they heard what he said, and it was like, man, wow. And now they inspired them to change their ways. Like, that to me is much more impactful than anything he could do on the football field. And I think that he probably understands that as well. So it was a powerful move. The fact that there was no press release or anything like that, he definitely did it out the kindness of his heart. He's not doing it for clicks and all of those things. He's doing it because I think he truly does care about the youth and he wants to inspire change.
I love it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was really cool. I don't think they're supposed to be here. They're not required to be here.
No, I
yet.
think it was May 7th or something like that.
So the fact that, like, basically the draft ends and he gets on a plane and wants to, like, get involved right away, I think it's great. I don't know how could you think anything else? How could you be upset by anything that you saw?
Because some people would say it's like a PR move, but
no.
It ain't like he put it out. Like, I'm about to go talk to
We got,
kids.
hey, Ty, on that real quick, and this is not to compare one to the other, but we get press releases from the Browns all the time. Player X is going to be here. Player Y is doing this. Even quarterbacks. We've gotten press releases from their team saying quarterback 4 is going to be in this direction. He's going to be talking to this group. Please come cover it. There's nothing yesterday from Shedeur. He did that just by himself. Makes it even cooler.
I was trying to find the Browns offseason program exactly when they
May 11th is the first day.
Yeah,
May 9th to the 11th. 9th to the 11th.
I know some of the guys are back in. Like
Is
some
that
of the
rookie
veterans
mini
are back.
camp?
Yeah.
May 9th to 11th?
Rookie mini camps 9th to 11th.
Okay.
Some of the veterans are back already, but I don't think anyone expects. And they brought the rookies in. The first night guys, they do a press conference with them the next day.
Yeah.
Maybe he has to come in and get a physical or whatever. I just thought it was cool.
But they usually do that. They usually do that like maybe 2 days before the thing.
Yeah. So there would really be no team requirement for him to be here. As
I
fast
mean,
as he
right
was.
now, like if you're a veteran, you're probably lifting and maybe meetings, if that. But like for the most part, you done.
Yeah.
You out of there in like 3 hours.
Shadour Sanders is under the microscope, unlike really any player we've seen, certainly outside of the first round, that I can recall, right? And he's got people, a lot of people that love him. There are definitely haters out there.
I just don't understand how you can hate a guy like that.
Because
It's the only way you can hate a guy like that is if one, you feel some type of way about his dad, or
Yeah.
you feel that he's cocky on the field, which
So,
which
I
you
think
want
that's
out
a lot of
which
it.
you want out of your quarterback.
there's always going to be haters for anybody that's successful. There's always going to be haters for anybody that comes from a richer family, right? There's a variety of reasons why there's haters. The guy's not done anything wrong. He's not been in trouble. He's not some people perceive him as cocky. To me, I think most people that I meet, most athletes are cocky. That's how you need to be as an athlete, I think. That's how I see it. I know I'm cocky about my job.
I feel like the majority, he's just cocky on the field. Like, I know like in the meetings and all those things, they say he came off that way. But like when you're confident about your craft and what you can do, like why would you not voice that?
It's just going to get publicized more because of who he is, right?
I mean,
the Kelsey brothers on their podcast yesterday went off on the fact that there was a lot of anonymous reports, obviously, and we understand it. People don't want to put their name out there,
They
but
should.
I get it as a player being pissed. Travis Kelce was going wild on his podcast. Like, if there are coaches that said he was crappy in interviews, they should put their name out there and say it.
Have you ever wrote something anonymously?
all the time.
You say like when you just say your statement and don't put your name on it.
I was actually thinking about this morning. It's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were going to go there.
Yeah.
But with anonymous sources, it's up to the writer, first of all, to determine, is this person credible and does this person have an agenda?
Okay.
Right.
If you determine they are credible and they do not have an agenda, you use it.
Okay.
And with where I work now, we have the highest sourcing standards I've ever been associated with because it's the New York Times. I cannot write an anonymous source. My editor will ask me, who's your source? And we have to tell them who the source is. And it's never been that way before in any other job that I have. So our standards are incredibly high and then they determine if it's passed the smell test of whether or not you can use it or not. And I keep going back to the Pelissaro piece before the draft because that's the Tom Pelissaro piece that everyone was up in arms about. I have no idea what the NFL Network's standards are for sourcing. I would imagine they're pretty high. They're kind of along the lines of ours. Mm-hmm. Tom didn't do anything wrong with that report. People get upset as they want, and you could say, well, put your name on it. That's just not how it works because, again, do they have an agenda? Are they trying to smear the kid? The NFL just told you Tom's report was accurate. You may not like it, but the league just told you he was right to write that, to report that, because he fell to the 5th round. And why did he fall? Because of the way that he came off to these teams. So, and I said it the other day, when you're a reporter, when you're in this position, if you don't write that before the draft and you just sit on it, you just hold it, and then he falls the 5th round, and then you write, man, he interviewed really poorly, and a lot of teams didn't like the way he came off, everybody throws their hands up and screams, well, why are we just hearing that now? Why didn't you write that before?
It's fair.
And then you write it before the draft, and everyone throws their hands up and says, well, they're just trying to... Sometimes, guys, it's just the truth. It's just the reality of it. And you don't have to like it, but and that's where it comes... It's almost like you have to look at the credibility of the reporter and believe, do you believe them or not? Because the reporter has to determine whether or not they believe the sources or not.
And if Tom Pelissero is reporting is accurate,
Which it
and
was.
I honestly have no reason to believe it's not, then that's a bad job by Shedeur, and he should have handled these interviews better. Like, you got to be prepared for an interview. You go into an interview for a job, you need to be prepared.
It was something. I just saw this last night. I can't remember. I wish I could remember who to give credit for. That part, like, he didn't have an agent. He didn't hire an agent. He did this on his
Right.
own. One of the jobs of the agent is to prepare you for those pre-draft interviews.
Yeah.
And it sounds like Shedeur went in completely unprepared.
Didn't Nuggets say that?
And give you an idea of
Yes.
where you're realistically going to get drafted.
Who you said that? Bomani Jones?
Said what?
That's not where I heard it. I thought Schefter was doing it.
Bomani had that take. I'm not sure he reported that initially. Diana Rossini talked about it. I'm not sure if that's
No, it
where you
wasn't
got
that.
it from.
But, I mean, you could say, because, like, Lamar's represented himself, and he's never had an agent. He's done just fine for himself financially. But I do think an agent can sort, and you would think Dion, having gone through it, Dion could walk him through the process of, but clearly, Shedeur probably could have used a little bit more prep going into those meetings, and he wasn't prepared.
That's true. And moving forward, now none of that stuff matters.
No,
Right now, it's
nothing you can do about it now.
how hard is he going to work? How good is he? Because the truth is, I said this yesterday, there's no doubt. Whatever happened in these interviews and whatever perceived distraction he is did not take him out of the first round. It dropped him maybe from the second to the fifth, or the third to the fifth, or the fourth to the fifth. If Shadour Sanders was a first-round talent, he would have been. Let me correct that. If a team that needed a quarterback thought he was a first-round talent, they still would have drafted him in the first round, Jason. There's been a lot of questionable character guys drafted in the first round. They thought he was a second or a third-round talent, and they said, you know what, he's not worth it.
It's not worth the headache.
It's not worth it at that point.
Do you think...
That doesn't mean they're right, but...
So let me ask you this. Do you think because of what happened with the draft for him and all the attention being that, maybe he wasn't the best in interviews, do you think this is a way of him cleaning up his image?
100%, and he doesn't have to clean it up that much because it's not like his image is that tarnished. It's to me, it's minor blemishes on. Let's say it's all true. Okay, if the worst thing he did was do a crappy job in the interviews, he's not the first one to do that before. And if he plays well and if he works his ass off, becomes a starter eventually, and plays well, then there's no blemish on his mark. That completely goes away.
He's never been in trouble that I know of.
Yeah,
I've never heard anything about teammates not liking him.
Nope.
So what are we talking about?
Some interviews with some older guys.
So, I said it after the draft that if he had Cam Newton talent, he'd have gone number one.
Of course.
They don't care about any of that. So I do think that the talent level does play into this.
Yeah.
And maybe the media overvalued what they thought they saw compared to how the league viewed him.
Yes.
Very possible.
Clearly.
And we'll find out. I mean, I thought Joe Thomas was great. We had Joe on the other day,
Yeah.
and Joe said, right away if a guy can, instantly
right.
if a guy belongs or not. And we'll find out with him. And if he belongs, the Browns may have, after 25 years of wandering the desert, may have finally run into one.
Right.
And if they didn't, then
you move on like they have done
all
so many
I know
times
is
before.
now, I criticized that guy
for
recruiting Cleveland, and I told you it was weird. And ultimately, it worked.
Yeah, you're right.
At the end of the day, it did work. Tyvis,
But I will say, I didn't.
you were right.
I was 100% right, but
It was
worked.
a great job by him going to the school. And anytime a player gets in the community and tries to help out, kudos to them. And we don't recognize it enough because, it's not a sexy topic, but it's a great job by him to do that.
So I wanted to make sure we played the clip. Did a great job. And with that, and I'm glad we kind of took that pivot. That was really interesting, the sourcing and that kind of stuff. But the question I put in the rundown based off this stuff was, so far he's done everything right. He's hit a complete home run in terms of just doing the right stuff in the 3 days he's been here since being drafted. If it pans out on the field as well, where do you think Shedeur could rank on the most popular Cleveland athletes of the last 50 years? Would he catapult if it goes well in the field up into that LeBron stratosphere?
If he ball on the field, where he gonna be? Oh my good, it'd be LeBron, Shedeur.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah,
There's
you're the
nobody
Browns
else.
quarterback and you play great.
Yeah, there's nobody else. It's LeBron, and then it would be Shedeur. I know Donovan Mitchell's great. Myles Garrett has been great. Jose has been great. Baker was great. Frankie Lindor, all of them. He will jump every last one of them and be second on the list.
Yes. Baker
easily.
Baker won one playoff game, and he was the most popular Cleveland athlete at the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nick
Flacco
Chubb,
threw
great.
2 pick sixes in a playoff game.
Yeah.
And it was wildly popular.
That's right. If you're and it has nothing to do with Shedeur, whatever quarterback. If you're good as quarterback for the Browns, you're going to be the most popular guy in Cleveland. That's it.
Yeah.
End of conversation.
Who else, just out of curiosity, because I haven't been here long enough to know.
Yeah.
It's LeBron 1. The last 20 years, how would you put the next 2, 3, 4,
Joe
5?
Thomas.
Right now?
No, just of the last 20 years at their peak.
But guys ebb and flow. I mean, Baker at the time.
At their peak, though. I'm saying at their peak.
Baker's probably 2.
Yeah.
Baker's too. I'm going to say this. You're going to say I'm crazy. Baker at his peak was ahead of LeBron.
No.
LeBron wasn't here anymore.
No.
But you're still judging.
LeBron at his
Mike said at the time.
LeBron at his peak
in the
was
last
winning
20
the
years, at
championship.
their peak in Cleveland.
LeBron's peak.
Oh, I see what you're
Baker's
saying.
peak.
Okay.
Yeah. And everyone's
All right,
peak.
I thought you meant at the time of his peak.
No.
Yeah, LeBron.
Baker.
Baker'd probably be 2.
No, Kyrie 2. No?
No.
Come on. When the Cavs won the championship?
Kyrie was a very
Baker was
popular
2.
guy.
Baker was 2.
But
Kyrie would.
All right, Baker
this
2,
the
Kyrie
thing.
3.
This the thing. Like, people was upset by the Kyrie request.
Right, but Mike said it at their peak.
At the peak. At the time.
Before he left.
And he hit the biggest shot in franchise history.
Yes.
And Baker did not, but I'd still put Baker 2.
Baker won a playoff game, though.
Woo.
It's like
I know.
That's like the Super Bowl
I know,
right now.
I know.
The
biggest shot in franchise history to win a championship, first round playoff game. But
It's a football town.
I'd put Baker 2.
Yeah, I think I probably
Kyrie
would.
3.
I put
I
Kyrie
mean,
3.
Joe Flacco might be 4.
Chubb's really high up there.
Chubb's up there.
Chubb's really high up.
Yeah.
He's top 5.
Phil Dawson.
Joe
Love Phil
Thomas.
Dawson.
Lindor.
Frankie Lindor was up there.
Yeah, but he wasn't top 5.
Nah,
It's a baseball thing, unfortunately.
No, yeah.
He deserved to be,
You know who was very popular too? Joe Hayden.
Joe was very loved, yeah.
but not in this category that we're talking about.
No.
I mean, Miles and Chubb would be up there.
Yeah. I think Chubb is the most popular Brown since, except for Baker.
Consistently,
Yeah.
like consistent over a long
Yeah.
period of time. Probably Nick.
Nick Chubb is the only. Here's what I'd say. Nick Chubb is the only player in the last 20 years, maybe just him and Joe Thomas, that have no detractors. None. LeBron has detractors. Kyrie certainly does.
Oh, you talking about in Cleveland?
In Cleveland, yeah. You know, Baker, not everybody loved Baker. You know, Nick Chubb had no detractors. None. Myles Garrett had detractors.
Yeah. I'd agree
Joe
with that.
Hayden didn't have detractors.
That's true, he didn't, but he wasn't as popular as Nick Chubb.
He was like the best.
Although Joe was
player.
Mr. Cleveland.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Joe was one of the best representatives. Lindor was a great representative of the city, too. I know people are, were down on him because he left, but
Does Jose have any detractors?
Yes.
they're starting to become.
His postseason numbers. Are
Yeah. There are some Jose haters. Not a large percentage. But there you go. All right, Mike.
All right, let's move on to our next topic. That's going to be brought to us by Buckeye State Credit Union. If you're unfamiliar with them, let me introduce you to the financial friend you didn't know you needed until right now. Buckeye State Credit Union is a local brand offering a wide range of products, from checking accounts to home equity lines of credit and auto loans. They have some of the lowest rates around and are committed to serving Northeast Ohio. Their Cleveland location is in Shaker Heights, but they have 5 brick-and-mortar stores across the state. Buckeye State Credit Union is here to help make your life easier. They make banking more convenient, always putting the customer first, so you leave feeling cared for, valued, and respected. Connect, simplify, adapt. Those are the core values that make Buckeye State Credit Union the right choice for you. For more information, head to buckeyescu.org. Buckeye State Credit Union, your money simplified. Bull, Jason, Tyvis, the Guardians win again. Emmanuel Clase, not great again. How do you digest?
I think we're over. They gave him a run on a wild pitch.
Yeah, I think
wasn't that bad.
I think he's coming back around.
He's coming back. I agree. He was excellent the night before. He had a terrible performance in that last game in Pittsburgh. He had been really good the two before.
Yeah.
I think we're now, like if he had not been having a bad season, we wouldn't have said he was a bad performance yesterday.
What is
struck out the side? I mean, I thought it was fine.
It's because the problem.
I'm not raising the red flag. I just point out that's another time we have to say, hey, Clase wasn't.
That's the problem. The problem is at last year he was so good.
Yeah.
At a point where it was just like we couldn't believe this dude ain't giving up no hits. He boom 3 up 3 down and it's over. Like when he came out there, it was no doubt that the game was done.
That's uncommon.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
That we fell in love with that, and we keep thinking that that's just the normal thing, and it's not. And that's fine.
Guys, I've consistently said, as bad as he pitched, I would not have taken him out of the closer role. They took him out for a day or whatever it was. I mean, he's been back to the closer role since 2 days ago because he came into the tie game 2 days ago in the 9th inning when Cade Smith pitched the 8th. I also think the team is better when Cade Smith's not closing because it allows them to use him whenever 6th, 7th, 8th inning, whenever the toughest hitters are coming up.
Yeah.
And to be able, in not as many innings, but in an Andrew Miller type of way with what Francona did there. So I think the Guardians are at their best when Clase is closing, which is why combining that with the fact that he's been the best relief pitcher in baseball the last few years, I have a very long leash. I think he's right in the ship here, and I think he's going to be okay.
I didn't go back and look at last night, but the last couple outings, well, the one before that, I think for sure, he was back to working the edges, and he was not leaving.
Has to be.
Yeah, he was not leaving everything over the middle of the plate. So I think a month from now, hopefully, we're past all of this.
Let me ask you, as a pitcher, because y'all study this, so you know how he was over. Is it that hard to go from throwing everything over the plate to working the edges? Is it that difficult?
I mean, yes. Simple answer, yes. It
3 or 4 inches is the difference in a broken bat grounder and a double to the gap or even a home run.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It really is.
So he's had to go back and really critique his entire approach to the game.
I don't know why he was missing as badly as he was, because he's always been a guy who doesn't prioritize a ton of strikeouts. He's always been a guy that really sort of pitches to contact because they don't get barrels off him. And a lot of guys are beating it into the ground, so that's why he can pitch 3 days in a row, because he's only throwing 11, 12 pitches in an appearance. But when you start, it doesn't matter who you are, when you start leaving things over the middle of the plate, these guys are the best hitters in the world. They're gonna hit you.
Yeah.
And that's the problem he was running into. I don't know why he's last year for the entire regular season he was on the edges and right where he needed to be. And every pitcher misses over the plate and gets away with it a couple of times. Every single pitcher. But for whatever reason, when he missed over the plate in the postseason, it happened more frequently, and he got punished for it. And now this year, early on, he was missing over the plate and getting punished for it.
Sometimes
the Kerry Carpenter one still bothers me.
Yeah, well, that one didn't.
The Yankees one.
Sometimes when you have a minor injury, it manifests in lower velocity. That's not been the case here. Other times, it can affect your command.
Absolutely.
And maybe that's what's happened here. They talked about he had some soreness. Hopefully it doesn't turn into anything more serious. Maybe that soreness was there and it was a little worse. Maybe the few days off he had. Maybe he's feeling better now. It might be something they're going to need to monitor this whole season. They need to be careful. These guys all pitched a crazy amount of innings last year. They need to be careful. Overall, the bullpen's still been pretty good. Smith's been great. Gaddis, I think, gave up his first run of the year last year. Herron, for the most part, although I think his last appearance wasn't good. He's pitched well.
Your boy coming around, Ortiz.
Well, that's
I was going to say, he had his best start. I'd say maybe his best start of the season last night, giving him back-to-back.
I'm about to say his last couple been solid.
Well, this is the first time I think all season they've had back-to-back starting performances last that long into the game and give the bullpen.
Well, they need it because you got right now the only strength of this team is the bullpen because the lineup's not good enough and the rotation's not been good enough. So they needed these starts. That start by Bieber 2 nights ago was huge. And then Ortiz.
Bibee.
I'm sorry, Bibee. Projecting the Bieber. Although I did read yesterday that Bieber is going to start throwing simulated games.
Yeah, he's not anywhere near,
but that's a positive step.
He's progressing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's what you could do that on the 60-day in.
He's on the 60-day IL right now, which that's
he's going to be in Arizona. Yeah.
Okay.
The Bibee thing, I'm sure you guys covered it. Yeah. Super encouraging start from Tanner. That's the rain delay game.
Yes.
He didn't take them on until 9:30 at night.
Right.
You never know how that's going to mess with the guys.
Right.
Because these guys are such creatures of habit. That's exactly what they need out of him.
Yeah,
I know he didn't get the win. That doesn't matter. 8, he worked into the 7th, got through. Didn't he pitch 7?
Yeah.
I think he got
did
through
on 92
7.
pitches,
Yeah.
7 innings.
Phenomenal. That's exactly what
they needed it because he hadn't been pitching well. They needed him to solidify things, and maybe he gets them going in the right direction. It was so funny because I think we were just talking about there. I was talking with Zach about this, the fact that Gavin Williams, every time he pitches a great game, seems to follow it up with a bad one, which is what happened here. He needs, obviously, more consistency. But, I mean, the starting pitching needs to be better because the lineup has got some real weak spots.
So
Rocchio's on his way out. It
Oh,
looks
yeah.
like. He is starting.
Oh yeah.
He has lost his grip. I think he's losing his grip on the everyday job.
What was your bold prediction?
Oh, it wasn't Rocchio. I don't know if I made
Bulls
that.
last year was Rocchio to make the All-Star team.
It's.
I feel like somebody said
I think I
something
picked
about
Rocchio
Rocchio
again this year.
Yeah, somebody said something about Rocchio.
I thought he was going to have a better year. I thought Rocchio and Naylor were both going to.
So
have
you
breakout
need to
years.
tell me.
By the way, 2 days ago I said we should stop. I should just play Austin Hedges because Naylor can't hit. He's hit home runs 2 days.
I was going to bring that up. Well, he had the big 3-run home run last night.
Yeah.
2 outs.
He's had some really good at-bats lately.
Yeah, do you feel
really
like it's
good.
I mean,
starting to
it's
put it
been
together?
2 years since he's been good. Hopefully,
It's because
finally pull it
he
together.
watched the show and you heard what you
I'm
said.
glad I inspired him, and whatever it takes. but-
Hey, look how many years it's taking Gabby Arias to figure it out. And it finally looks like he's starting to figure it
Well,
out.
I'll tell you when.
Oh, you be quiet.
When Lane Thomas comes back, and I know Lane Thomas got off to a bad start, but he's a proven hitter in the league. When Lane Thomas comes back, I'd play Arias at short, I'd put Angel Martinez at second, and I'd play Lane Thomas in center. I think that's what they should do. Forget Schneemann. I know he's been all right, but
What do you make of
really
Nolan
hate
Jones?
Schneemann.
The advanced analytics on Nolan Jones still are favorable,
hanging in
but
with him.
at some point the
I'm
numbers.
not giving up on it.
I'm
on
hanging
Nolan
in with
Jones.
him. He's hitting it really, really hard.
Yeah.
He has nothing
He's
to show
had bad
for it.
luck.
Yeah.
He's had bad
I
luck.
really like him in that 2 spot.
And who you're replacing him with anyway?
Yeah.
There's nobody.
I'm just asking the questions.
Yeah, no, there's
I mean,
nobody.
listen, if it's July and he's hitting under 200 and Chase DeLauder's healthy and
Let's
back
go.
in the minors,
Yeah,
okay, then
it's
we can
another
have
story.
that conversation. But right now, those numbers are horrific.
Yeah.
He's a better hitter. He's been a better hitter than what those numbers
I
show.
could see him like having 5 home runs in 10 days coming up.
Yeah.
Like I could see that, and I'm sticking with him. But I'm going when Lane Thomas is ready, and he should be in the next few days. Lane in center, Arias and Angel Martinez as your middle infield. Schneemann I don't want Schneemann playing every day. He's not.
No.
He's barely a major leaguer, let alone an everyday player.
Schneemann,
Every
Brennan
time you
stuff,
say
I'm
that,
done with all those
he go out there and hit a home
Good,
run.
good. Let's see it happen.
You guys, we talked about Bo Naylor for a sec, but then we moved on to Arias.
Yeah.
But Bullis is back-to-back nights now after you said what's up with Bo that
Yeah.
it's gone yard. Do you see something different in the swing? Do you see the approach? Anything different? I mean, I know it's just 2 games, but
I mean, I to be honest, I'm not watching the swing carefully, but I do. As Jason pointed out, he has been hitting the ball harder, including these home runs. So it's a positive step, but I got to see a lot more from him because he's been so bad the last 2 years.
Because you was ready to send him down to the minors.
Well, I said that at least with Austin Hedges, I know I'm getting a great called game. He's a leader. If Naylor can't hit, what's the point of him playing?
Who did Naylor throw out the other night? It was a great throw.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the pop time on that. There was Ty France base hit, pitch ran for him. First pitch took off and Naylor gunned him down. He had a good jump too. It doesn't matter. But he's better defensively, I think, that he gets credit for.
Man,
I'm not going to put him in Hedges category.
Yeah, no.
He's made a ton of improvements.
Yeah, and he's good at throwing. He's probably better at Hedges than at throwing out runners.
Is there any way we could talk to the Guardians on a day that they like practicing that I could try to go steal from first to second with Naylor throwing the ball to see if he get me?
That doesn't. It would have to be a spring training thing.
he would throw you out so
You
hard.
think
Tyler.
you
Yes.
think
Thrown
he'll
out,
get me?
Tyvis?
I don't know.
Yes.
I feel like if I
You're
get
not
a
in your
good
prime.
I feel like First of all, I am in my prime.
I saw pain in his eyes when you said that.
I am in my
There's pain
prime.
in those eyes.
What's your 40 time right now? Do you know?
4.46, no matter what.
No.
4.46.
That's what you ran at the combine.
That's what I run today.
Nah, I
I got next man speed at this point. When you're 31, you just get next man speed.
What is
Meaning
next man's?
I'm faster than the person that I'm going against. I just need to be just faster than you.
I mean, you're
That's
faster
it.
than Jason and I. We'll give you that.
Dustin want to race me.
So-
and Dustin in tip-top shape, too.
This is really funny. So
Yeah.
we were walking the dog yesterday around the neighborhood, and we happened to be where the bus stop came. Leslie and I had the dog.
Yeah.
And the kids get off the bus, and of course, like my daughter doesn't want to acknowledge that mom and dad.
Oh, no, not
And
at
I'm
all.
carrying the dog's poop bag and all that. And she's like walking ahead of me, and
Yeah.
it turns out like her and I are racing now back to the house. And I'm like, and my feet are moving faster than they've moved in years.
Oh, no, you
And
fell.
she's like that much in front of
Yeah.
me. And that's probably why I've been so dizzy today. I was like, I'm going to black out. So I'm like, there's a picture of me
Oh, my God.
sprawled out on the sidewalk holding the poop bag.
Jason, you
In
better
our development.
you
It
better
was
get in
hilarious.
shape.
Oh, my God.
The KYC softball game coming up soon.
I'm not playing shortstop this year.
I got short. Speaking of,
You're a lefty, Mike. You can't play shortstop.
you see
And the
other options out there?
WKYC
We are not
softball
letting
game.
Jason play shortstop again.
That's fair.
I was good at shortstop. last
Jason
year.
is top heavy.
I
That's
am.
all that was.
I want to play
20 years ago, I said
But you
this-
can see the athleticism in both of y'all.
It
like
was
y'all,
there.
it
Let me
was
ask
both.
one- let me ask one Guardians question, then we can talk KYC
Yeah, all right,
softball
go ahead.
game. But the starting pitching matchup tonight, final game
Ben
of the
Lively.
4-game series. Lively versus, is it Sean Woods Richardson?
Simeon.
Simeon Woods
Simeon.
Richardson.
Simeon.
Bull, I'm not
Long
too
name.
familiar, I'll be honest, with Simeon Woods Richardson's game. Who is the edge in the pitching matchup tonight?
Simeon Woods.
It's a wash.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would actually give it to Woods Richardson.
I
slightly.
guess. He's okay. They're both
He's
okay pitchers.
This is his
third year, I think.
last year was like his first full year, and I don't even know if you would count that as a full year. He came up like mid-season
I
last year.
think he pitched a little.
He's
in
been up and
23.
down.
Yeah.
But
he's
he's a
a
member.
back end of the rotation guy.
Yeah.
Ben Lively's a back end of the rotation guy.
It's pretty
Why has
even.
I think it's a
Lively
wash.
fallen off like this?
Why is who fallen off?
Ben Lively.
Because he's
he,
a journeyman.
he was out of his mind
Yes,
last
he
year.
And that was
Why-
not sustainable because he's not that good a pitcher. And now
I
that
mean,
he's
it's still there somewhere.
now that he hasn't been terrible. I mean, he's been okay. He is what he is. Like
No,
he's
last year he
he's
was-
supposed to be their fifth starter. If you get numbers like that from your fifth starter, that's acceptable.
How's Matthew Boyd doing?
He's pitching well.
I'm sure he is.
What? Bring up Matthew Boyd's numbers.
Jason
last
hated
night.
Well, I'm
him.
looking at Matthew Boyd's number. Steve,
Jason
take the graphic full real quick.
He was not good.
Do you think
I
Ben
know
Lively?
what?
What
Before
are
he
you
came
talking
to
about?
Cleveland. Before he came to
Oh,
Cleveland.
okay. See, I
I'll
don't
look up the
know. I'm
Matthew
not
Boyd
familiar.
stats real quick. Do you think Ben Lively has pitched well enough to rock a chain like that in his
No.
profile picture?
No.
Yeah, no, not at all.
What's wrong?
You know what's weird? It was the Cantillo thing was really strange.
They sent him down and
They
they brought
sent
him
him
back
down.
up.
Like they were going to stretch him out.
Like
I
they're
thought,
going to stretch him
maybe.
out, but that was not. And now he's right back up because
of the Seawald injury
Yeah.
came right
Matthew
back
Boyd's
up.
pitching well.
Yeah, he's only given him more than 2 earned runs, I think, in one
He's a
start.
2.7 ERA in 6 starts.
I don't know what you want me to say. He was not good before Cleveland.
Nobody's arguing that, but I thought you made such. But with all the money being thrown around, I didn't know why you were so stunned by that. By his contract.
Because that was lunacy. What did he get?
wasn't lunacy. It was-
35 million based off like 5. Like, hey, it's working out.
I'm about to
Yeah.
say he's playing up to it right now.
But I mean, maybe I'm looking at it from like Cleveland would never be in any position.
Right, I
to
know,
go
but
that
like
type of
for
money.
the Cubs, who should be spending more money, a 2-year, $30 million contract is not really.
I'd rather them got rid of Lively and kept Boyd.
well,
Lively
wasn't
wasn't
gonna
a free
happen.
agent.
Yeah,
I understand that.
Yeah.
I would like to see Cantillo get a shot in the rotation.
Right, but
Really?
the thing with the Guardians rotation is nobody's been great, but nobody's been bad enough to definitely take out.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you're not moving Gavin Williams under any
No,
circumstance.
no.
And Bybee obviously is there. Ortiz has been fine.
Yeah, Logan Allen's the one guy, but he's been
Yeah.
decent outside of his last start. He's
I'm
been
not
pretty-
a big
I don't like Logan Allen, and I think Joey Cantillo might have more upside than him.
I think
but
he does. I think he does. I've never been a big
I like
fan.
Cantillo how he's pitched out of the pen. I think he's done a pretty good job, solid job. So
They don't
far.
have a ton of lefties, Heron, so it's nice to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I just hopefully he gets a shot in the rotation.
By the way,
at some
there's
point.
another a former member of the Cleveland Guardians that's also on the Cubs, and he's been terrible, and he's now hurt. You know who that is? Pitcher also, relief pitcher.
No, I can't think who that is.
And he's been really good for the Guardians.
Is it the
He
dude,
might have pitched poorly because he was hurt.
Is it the dude that used to play with his hair, Karen Check?
No.
I don't know who.
Eli Morgan.
Oh,
He's got like a 13 ERA. Go ahead, Mike.
Any last
We're
thoughts
going
on
to
the
talk
Guardians?
about WKYC softball.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So
Earl, end the clip. We'll talk softball. Then we got one more time.
Earl, now. Every year we play, what is it, August, September we play this game?
August.
August. We play this WKYC softball game. And last year I said this, and I would really like to make this happen this year. I want it to be UCSS versus WKYC.
We would demolish them. We would demolish them.
So what? If it happens, it happens. I mean, what can I tell you?
Don't look at me. I'm
Who is
all
Jay
for it. You're looking at me
Crawford
like I'd be
playing
against
for?
it.
We would have to give Jay to the other team to make it fair.
Will we have enough players without Jay?
Yeah.
In these softball games, by the way, folks, we play with like 16 outfielders.
It's insane.
The outfield is
The
huge.
outfield is that's. And this is where I messed up.
It's like a major league field.
This is why I wasn't that great last year. I was so in my mind trying to hit it over the fence.
Yeah.
It's
not
impossible. It's
That's
not going to
not-
happen.
no, you can't hit a
You
home
just
run
got to
there.
swing
It's a
your bat.
410 foot
It's like a
fence,
major league
Tyvis.
field.
But it was like I wanted to at least try.
Yeah.
It's deeper than progressive.
Dude,
I think
with your
AJ
speed-
caught my ball. I was sick.
Tyvis, with your speed
Yeah, I
and all
just-
the shitty people in the field, just hit a line drive. You'll run and easily hit a home
Yeah,
run.
but
What are you talking
I
about?
wanted it to go over the fence.
Yeah, you wanted to.
And it's not.
that's
gonna
not
Should we
Not a
order a
softball.
torpedo bat just for the softball?
We should. Let's order
A corked torpedo
Will
bat.
Steve Becker pay for
Steve Becker, you want to be our best friend for a 3-year anniversary on March 9th? Order us a UCSS corked
So what's
torpedo
if
bat.
Jay played for WKYC? Who do we have? We have the three of us. We have Mike. That's
Is
4.
G. Bush gonna show
we have
up this
Anthony,
time?
that's 5.
G. Bush?
Bree plays. That's 6.
We'll get Earl. We'll make Earl play.
Polk.
Earl's not going to show up.
You're right.
He's not going. We know he's not going to show
We'll
up.
get Polk.
I'll get Gabby.
I'll bring AJ.
No, Polk's WKYC.
AJ has to be on my team this year. I need a ringer.
AJ's on our
have yet
team.
to win.
That's 7. I think Aaron. I can get him to play this year. He's
Becker
gotten
said
better.
no
He's
torpedo
bigger.
bats. Becker, how about HGH? Just get us all steroids.
Yeah, let's juice. Let's do some juicing, baby. Oh, is there steroid testing for the WKYC softball game?
I think we could fake it. I'll get some fake piss.
So that's it. So it's the 5 of us: Bree, AJ, Aaron. That's 8.
Maybe we need Jay because they have some players.
G. Bush. We'll get G. Bush. Although he's like Earl. You never know if he. I don't know if he's going to show up.
Now you just be. Come on.
What?
You can't say just those two.
What do you mean? Who else doesn't show up?
There's other people that don't show up here.
What about Dustin?
I was
yeah,
gonna
we
say.
gotta get Dustin.
I was
yeah.
gonna say Dustin.
Dustin's probably not. If we can get him to a softball game, I'll
I
get
feel
him
like
to a
we
softball
can get
game.
Dustin. I feel like Dustin will come. He's
They got a couple
a
players upstairs. They got some good dudes upstairs.
Yeah, what's his name? Matt Wentz.
Wentz is really good.
He's a good ball
Brian
player.
Crane is really good.
yeah. He
Isn't
is.
what about Shedowski? I don't think did he play last year?
Dave did not play last year. No, he's going through cancer treatment.
What about Camino? Why doesn't he play? He's never played.
I
He
don't
can't
know.
play.
I don't know.
You're the sports guy, Nick. You got to be playing. Don't they have a new sports guy?
I'm sure Chris will play. Yeah, Chris will probably play.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, the sports guy.
He runs marathons on the treadmill in there every Friday. So.
Yeah, there's some other people I see working out in there for WKYC.
I'm training for it this year.
Listen,
Let's go.
Steph and
I'm
Polk are
training.
getting
You gonna-
married
you gonna
soon.
lose the
So
gut.
I'm sure the WKYC softball game is not top of their priority list
Wait
right
a
now.
second. They're getting married? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they're having a true story. They're throwing them a wedding shower tomorrow in the newsroom at noon.
Did you know they were getting married?
Who?
Oh,
Mike?
next Friday. Sorry.
Mike Polk?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
They announced their engagement at the last softball game, I'm pretty sure.
No.
No, they didn't.
No.
We were invited to Leslie and I were invited to some luau or something that they did.
Ah.
I mean, remember, I've known Mike since college.
know.
I've known Mike for 25 years.
I didn't know that. Well, congratulations to them. They're a great couple.
Yeah, we'll give him an L in the softball game for a wedding present from UCSS.
That's right.
All right. Any other thoughts on the WK softball game, Bo, before we move on?
Yeah, I got to drop 50 pounds before that game. But that's
Steve
gonna be
said
hard.
no to torpedo bats. Maybe HGH is in the cards. So
What's cheaper? What's more expensive, HGH or torpedo
You
bats?
gotta stop doing this.
Tyvis is showing me the video clip of me doing car bombs with Zan's friend.
That's
We
right.
should play that on the show.
Yeah.
I was.
The most
Jason
impressive
put him down.
thing I've ever seen in my
hey,
life.
Jason, text it to Ant. Ant will get
Yeah.
it in. We'll show you guys a
Oh,
video
I
of
got
Jason
you. I'll take this
doing a
one.
car bomb by the end of the show. We got one more topic we got to get to today, guys. And this topic is brought to us by Menu RX, Bo. When you're done chugging your water,
Yeah.
Tell us why Menu RX is the only place you should be going for diet advice.
Yeah, that's why I'm chugging water, because it's good for you to stay hydrated. My throat was a little dry. Got to stay hydrated there. If you're tired of trendy diets that don't deliver real results, you know the places. You know the famous diet operations that make you keep points and follow one plan that supposedly is going to work for a 50-year-old guy and a 90-year-old woman. It doesn't work that way. All our bodies are different. You're not alone, and that's exactly why menu-rx.com. Instead of working with some volunteer, you're actually working with scientists and nutritionists that will help you not only lose weight, but get in better shape, build peak performance, get your dream body. How often do you wish you had someone to guide you and adjust your plan as needs shift? Hey, for guys, and I know there's a lot of you out there like me that are overweight. We don't like to talk about it. We don't like to be bare our soul about it. It's great to have someone to talk to, one-on-one, instead of going to a group meeting with, a bunch of other people, one-on-one with somebody else that can go through what you've been through. My guy, Dr. Jake May at Menu RX, he was heavy when he was younger. He's lost weight. This is his life. He studies. He's a scientist. He has studied weight loss his whole life. He's passionate about it. He's passionate about trying to help me and helping you as well. So whether you're chasing peak performance, building your dream body, or seeking optimal longevity, Menu-RX will help you reach your goals. Go to menu- you see it right there, rx.com. Do it today and get your consultation.
Thanks for that, Bull.
Yeah.
All right, our last topic of the
Taking a
day.
picture of Jason passed out.
Holding a dog poop bag.
Look, he could be dead. If he wasn't here today, you could make the argument he's dead.
Jason, hold up that picture so we can see it.
Yeah. I guess your knees are up, so you probably couldn't be dead, but
Which camera?
Just hold it right there. You know you're good where you are.
yeah.
Jason, whatever you're trying to airdrop
With
me,
the
don't
poop
worry about it.
bag. Like, that really puts it all together. It's the poop bag.
That's tough.
I hate picking
tough
up
look.
the poop bag.
All from walking fast?
No, it was a dead out sprint. Like 5 houses of sprinting. Like I was I was running the 40 at the combine. Well, I stopped before I fell over.
Your daughter has no business trying to get away from you, and you have every right to try to embarrass her by racing against her.
Holding a poop bag.
You're holding a
The
poop
poop bag does add a nice little touch. All right, last topic of the day, guys.
Yeah.
Last season, we did our bold predictions for the Browns. I incorrectly predicted that Cedric Tillman would finish second on the team in receiving yards. He was on pace, but then obviously he got hurt, didn't come back.
About the pace.
Bull, your prediction was that Alex Wright would finish with double-digit sacks.
I was wrong.
You
I was
were
wrong
on
about
pace,
Wright.
but he got hurt in week 2, didn't play the rest of the season.
I was on pace. I'm not taking no
He
credit.
had 1 sack in 2 games, so on pace.
No, he wasn't. That's 8.5.
He's on pace to have close to the number. Whatever. The reality is, Alex Wright posted this week that he has been fully cleared. His rehab is over, and he is back to football activities from that torn tricep. So, Bull, I'm going to give you a chance to redeem yourself. Do you think Alex Wright could be a breakout candidate for the Browns in 2025 on opposite end of the line from Myles Garrett?
I do think he could. I mean, I'm worried because he's coming off a significant injury. What'd you say? Was it triceps? Triceps?
He had a torn tricep, yes.
Yeah, at least it wasn't a leg injury. It's not. I don't know. How hard an injury is that? That's hard, right?
You use your hands a lot.
I'm a little skeptical because of that type of injury. I really loved what I saw from him at the end of the 23 season. Right? 23? Yes. And so that's why I was really high on him heading into 2024, and then he gets the injury, and that's that. He's going to – if you're an opposing team's offensive line, obviously Myles Garrett is your number 1 priority, and now Mason Graham is your number 2 priority, I hope.
It's Mike Hall.
Or Mike Hall, whatever.
Go Bucks.
The other end, whoever that starting end is going to be, I know it's going to be rotational.
Isaiah McGuire.
If it's Alex Wright, he's going to be the lowest priority, I guess, for the other team. So
Hang on,
it's an opportunity.
Was that just a Ohio State, or are you serious? I'm genuinely asking about Mike Hall being the second priority over.
Oh, for sure.
Over Mason Graham?
Because he's a pass rusher.
I think on third down, Mike Hall is a more advanced pass rusher than Mason Graham is.
Mason Graham better be playing 3 downs. They drafted him 5th overall.
He will.
He will be.
What is this? He's not going to be a pass rusher?
No, I didn't say he's not going to be a pass rusher. Mike Hall was known as a defensive tackle pass rusher coming out of Ohio State.
That's why they.
Mason Graham is known more as a run stuffer than a pass rusher.
No. First of all, Mason Graham may not have put up sacks in college, and I may not necessarily be that high on him. Not that I know what the hell I'm talking about.
He plays with his hands really well.
The assumption is that even though he didn't get sacks in college, that he will be a big-time pass rusher in college.
I'm not saying he can't.
That
You
is
do not
what Andrew,
draft a guy
that's what
5th
Andrew
overall
Berry
to
said.
be a run stopper.
Well, Andrew Berry said that. They said that
He
believe
better be a sack
has
guy.
a lot of high upside on the pass rushing side.
And Greg Cosell told me in my interview that the only flaw in his game was his sack ability in college, and he has all the tools to do that in the pros.
Yeah, no, he's a really good player.
Yeah.
I mean, so right there, that leads back to who's playing opposite Miles on the other side. I mean, you just named 3 guys that.
Well, these are D tackles.
It doesn't matter. It's still.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about across the defensive line.
Oh,
when you have Miles,
Mike,
Right.
Mason, and Alex
I don't care
Wright.
who you plug in over there?
Alex Wright, Double O, Isaiah McGuire.
None of those guys are getting double teamed
No.
because they're a low priority.
No. I think
So-
the smart play would be to put Miles and Mike on the same side, because if you put Miles and Mike on the same side with them pass rushing, you can't double.
Either one.
Yeah.
I guess you can still double Miles.
Because if you do that, you're going to slide. You're going to
Well,
have to
what
slide
if Mason
protection
Graham
and
ends
other
up being
team.
the better pass rusher of the two inside
Then you flip
guys?
it. You put Mike Hall on the other side.
So you want the better pass rushing tackle
I would-
lined up
next
next
to
to
Miles.
Miles.
Yeah.
Because it's harder. It's
'Cause you-
harder.
yeah, you-
They'll still double team Miles.
'Cause think
but
about-
it'll make it easier for that tackle.
Yeah. It'll probably be if you put them on the same side, they'll probably slide protection to that side.
Right. Miles is doesn't matter who you have there. Miles is first priority.
Yes.
He's getting double
Yes.
teamed.
Yes.
He's occasionally getting triple teamed.
And that's Aaron Donald's down there.
Yeah, Aaron Donald is prime. Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no defensive tackle now in the NFL that is stopping
if
a
them two
double team.
played together in their prime,
Oh, my God.
boy,
That'd be crazy.
crazy.
So do you think? Give me a number.
If I had to predict today, will Alex Wright have double-digit sacks? I got to say no, coming off an injury.
Let's say
but
not
I
double
do
digit,
think
but-
he'll have a good solid. If he stays healthy, I could see him with 7-8 sacks.
I would say 7.5 is the number. He has 8
I'll
for his career.
I'll go with 8. I'll go with 8, which is pretty.
I'll take the under, and I'll say 6 or 7.
Opportunistic. I couldn't think of a word there.
Jason,
Optimistic. I screwed
You're
that up.
setting it at what?
7.
7.5 is the over/under.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
I would take the under.
Probably the under.
Just
The under is probably the
because
smart
of
play.
who he's lined up. Who
Yeah.
he's.
It's a race to get there. He got to get there first.
However, with all the pass rushing opportunities, even if Myles Garrett has 20 sacks, there's a lot of plays where he's not getting the sack.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of times where he's double teamed and triple teamed, and it will lead for opportunities if they can take advantage of it from the other guy.
If that D-line plays the way that they all are capable of playing,
Yeah, they can be really good.
it
There's
would
potential.
it would save the season.
Let me ask you guys this.
Yeah.
From that opposite edge, not the defensive tackles, not Miles, but the opposite edge spot.
The opposite edge.
Wright, McGuire,
And
Ogbo. Anyone else am I missing in that rotation? From just the opposite edge.
I don't think so.
Those three combined, if I set the over-under, 11.5 sacks. The
Combined,
over-under for those three, the opposite edge spot,
combined.
11.5.
Right around there, probably.
I'd be curious to know what that spot's produced
I
the
think-
last 5 years. 'Cause it's probably
yeah.
lower than you think.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yes. Oh, it's definitely lower than 11 and a
Well,
half.
Alex Wright played opposite, and he had 8 of them. So.
Well,
That's in his career.
Oh,
Yeah,
excuse me. I didn't know that. I
there
thought
was
that-
rumors about Ogbo getting traded around the draft. I don't remember when.
Yeah, they said him and G New was the veteran players. That
But
could
what,
do
like, who else do they have at end?
He really
Right,
That
but
group
just-
had 12.5 last year. I'm going to do the mental math, by the
Yeah.
way. 12.5 last year.
And who's in that group that added the 12 and a half?
Zadarius had 5.
Right.
Ogbo had 3. McGuire 2.5. Alex Wright 1. And Cameron Thomas had 1.
So now you want 11 out
Yeah, I
of
mean,
3 guys?
Darius
But
Smith's
Alex
better
Wright
than
was
all
hurt
those.
for most of the season.
I'll
so.
say under the 11. I guess if I'm picking, no, I got to be realistic. Alex Wright's not getting 8 sacks. I'm not being realistic. It's under and under. I say
They had way more in 2023.
I think Wright can get you 5.5. I think that's
I think he
realistic.
gets you 5.5.
I think maybe you get 5. Between 5 and 6 from Wright, and like 3 from
from-
Ogbo, and 2 or
I
3.
feel like Ogbo can get you 4.
That group had
maybe
16.
they get 11 and a half.
And Isaiah get you 2. That's 11.
We're being
and a half.
optimistic.
That group had 16 in 2023.
The reality is the Browns' defensive line has a lot of high-end potential. However, they have nothing proven
And the
outside of Myles Garrett.
The other reality is I just believe sacks are so overblown and
Oh, my
overrated.
God, yes.
It's
That's true.
all we Generate. Listen,
Heck no.
listen.
So you a Shamar Stewart then?
I am a generate pressure,
This is my
create
guy.
pressure, and get to the quarterback.
No, he make me sick.
If you create pressure, I mean, listen. If you tell
Because
me
he lied. He just sat there and just told that lie like
if
that.
you tell me we are not overblowing them, then I'll believe you because you played it and I didn't. But to me, we get so hung up on the numbers, and it's more about creating pressure, generating pressure, getting the quarterback, hitting the quarterback.
I'll answer
over the number.
I'll answer it with this. 2 years ago, Ohio State's D-line with JT and Jack Sawyer, they didn't get a lot of sacks, but they generated a ton of pressure. Last year, they got a lot of sacks. They won a championship. I rest my case.
Let me respond to that by saying, of course the sacks matter from a team perspective. A sack from a team perspective is certainly more valuable than a pressure because the sack's going to end the play. The pressure might end the play and hurt the play, but ultimately you could still have a positive
and
play.
And pressure could also lead to a turnover.
But I think what you're trying to say, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we seem to judge pass rushers only by sacks, which is silly because they're such a small percentage of the plays that those guys play.
Yes.
Myles Garrett has 16 and a half sacks. He's on the field for how many passing plays? Hundreds and hundreds. So if we're judging them only on sacks, we're judging them on, what, 5% of their plays, 3%? I mean, that's not a good...
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
And, the pressures, it makes it, it's nice.
It's not that sacks don't matter.
It's nice.
It's that it shouldn't be the only thing we judge players on.
But if I'm trying to get paid, they're not going to pay me for being the most pressured guy.
I'm just saying we shouldn't judge pass rushers
solely
on sacks.
I hear what you're saying.
If you get
that's just the way it is.
If you get 2 or 3 sacks on one drive, and it results in a punt, what about the rest of the game?
Right.
You had a great game. You had 3 sacks.
Yeah, right.
It all came on one drive.
Plus, not all sacks are created equal. Like, you could get a sack, it's a coverage sack, and you just happen to be the guy. You know what I mean? Like, if you get a sack 12 seconds into the play.
If I play a defensive end,
yeah,
all I care about is sacks.
All right, fair
I'm
enough.
sorry.
Go ahead, Mike. You got super chats?
Sorry.
We do. I just wanted to mention, I'm looking at these sack numbers.
Yeah.
So just in the 3 years UCSS has been here, 2022, 2023, 2024 is the 3 seasons we've covered. 2024, 12 and a half sacks from the opposite edge.
Okay.
2023, 16. Can you guess the number in 2022? It is objectively hysterical, I promise.
3.
22. Is that when Clowney was here?
I might say, is that Jadavion?
That was Clowney's final year, yes.
Yeah, he was terrible.
his final year. No, his final year, he was terrible.
He quit on the team, and I'm saying 3. They had nothing that year.
Yeah, like 4.5.
2.5.
You guys are in the right range.
Yeah.
Clowney had 2.
Yeah.
Isaiah Thomas had 1. And Chase Winovich had 1. 4 was the right answer, opposite of Myles Garrett. Oh, wow. Do you remember who finished second on that team in sacks? Myles Garrett had 16.
Dalvin Tomlinson?
Not on the team yet.
That was the Joe Woods year, right?
That was Joe Woods' final season, correct.
It was that big white dude, the defensive tackle.
Yes, but you got to get his
From
name.
Jacksonville.
Brian some with a T. Shoot.
You're close, Ty.
Taven Bryan.
Taven
Yep,
Bryan.
there you go.
I got
he
it
had
back.
3.5, right?
No, he had 3. Don't give him that extra
3.
half. Had 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was the Browns' pass rush in 2022.
Oh, my God.
We got some super chats to wrap up the show. Then we're going to show you the video of Jason doing some car bombs. Super chats today are brought to us by Living for We. Gun violence is an epidemic. It's the leading cause of death for teenagers. And on this season of Living for We, we're asking what can be done to end cycles of violence in cities like Cleveland, where the shooters value their reputation over their own lives and see innocent bystanders as collateral damage. Living for We is more than a podcast. It's a resource for communities tired of chaos and ready to build peace. Living for We tells real stories from those affected and solutions from change makers in the community, the families, the parents, the victims, and everything in between. The mission is simple: empower communities to create safer neighborhoods free from gun violence by highlighting local heroes, connecting resources and solutions, and building bridges through honest, community-driven dialogue. Join host Marlene Harris-Taylor and Maisha Watkins every other Tuesday for a brand new episode of Living for We. You can find this award-winning show wherever you get your podcasts, and you can watch full episodes by searching for Living for We on YouTube. Before we do Super Chats, a quick reminder that this morning, Jason and I taped an Ultimate Cavs show with Scott Agnes, who covers the Pacers. It is the first in our 2-part series, getting Pacers beat writers
Excuse me,
on the show.
Two-part series.
Well, not really serious. We have another Pacers beat guy coming on tomorrow to help promote and help preview and help break down this highly anticipated second-round matchup between the Cavs and Pacers. We talked with Scott. It's on the YouTube page. Tomorrow we have Pat Boylan, their play-by-play announcer, coming on the show to help us break down that series. So if you want a little extra Cavs-Pacers preview, go ahead over to our YouTube page.
Did you
can find
ask
that content.
Scott his prediction on the series?
He did.
What did he pick?
He picked Cavs in 7.
That was in 7. What did you guys predict?
I had Cavs in 6. Jason had Cavs in 5.
5. I think I picked Cavs in 5.
I got Cavs in 5, but I can see 6 too. I can see 6.
Yeah, the game's
All
pretty
right.
close. Anyway, go
Super
ahead.
chats. Big Al says, Bull for Pope.
Okay. This morning on my podcast, there were people sending me messages, Bull for Pope. What is going on here?
Well, if you live
not
under
even
a rock,
Catholic.
if you've been living under a rock, well, the Pope died.
I'm aware the Pope died, Mike. I'm not an idiot.
I think people are saying they want you to be the Pope.
Why would I be the Pope? I'm not qualified to be the Pope. I'm not even Catholic.
Well, I heard one of the candidates is named Pizza Bali, and
What?
that'd be a great name for Pope Pizza Bali.
Pizza?
Pizza Bali is his last
Pete?
name.
Like P-E-T?
Pete Sabah.
I have no idea. I
His
heard it
name
on a
is
different
Pizza?
podcast. I heard it on a
know.
different
I'm getting
podcast. They
Peter.
said they're voting for Pope Pizza Bali.
Peter. Oh, he's saying
Somali.
like
I'm
Pete-
guessing. I don't
pizza.
know. I'm not paying attention.
I'll
Are
look it
you,
up at
you're
the end.
Catholic, aren't you?
No.
I'm just saying that. Like
Why you saying?
Okay. Tyvis, you Catholic?
Well, you could be the first Jewish Pope ever.
No, I can't.
Is
that
that
would
a-
be a high
is that a
an
serious
insult
question?
to Catholics.
Let's get to
Do I
real
look-
super
I don't want to
chats.
insult anybody else's
I come
religion.
off as Catholic?
Come on, I'm just asking you. What is the big deal here? What is going on?
No, I am not Catholic.
By the way, the first time I ever went to a Catholic church, it was very funny. I was there for a wedding. I can't remember if it was a funeral or wedding the first time I went. I don't
What's
know.
the difference?
And for those who have been to a Catholic
Okay,
church,
no, I have to cut you off. His name is Pierre Batista Pizzaballa. His
Pizza
last
Ba-
name is Pizza Balla.
I mean, I'm voting for him just because of
Pizzaballa.
that name. I want to see the smoke come out for Pizza Balla there.
I told you, and he's skinny though. That's the only issue.
All the popes are skinny, aren't
But if
they?
your last name's Pizza Balla, you got to be a big guy.
You can't
That's
have
all
a
I'm
fat
saying.
pope. He's more likely to die early, you know?
All right, let's get to the real
Although
super
they're
chats
all
now that
old
we have
popes.
all determined
They
we're
need a
voting
young
for Pizza
pope
Balla.
so he doesn't die in a few years.
Pizza's overrated.
Chantel Tyvis Powell. Did you just say what I think you said?
It is.
What did you say?
That's overtime. That's overtime.
What'd he
Cut
say?
his- Steve, cut his mic. Chantel Penton says Shedeur's jersey just hit #1 on the rookie jersey
Yeah, we
best
mentioned
sellers list. Shout out
Did
to
we?
Shedeur.
Oh, I mentioned it on the podcast. I don't know if
We did mention it earlier when we talked about some of the stuff he's done. Steve Dara says, please stop talking about tanking, Jason.
Thank you.
Scott Prisbiz, I hope I pronounced that right. PRZYBYSZ. Let's say we
When you
start
have
a
a
young
last name like that, you got to put a pronouncer. Like, let's go.
So I hope it's Prisbiz is correct. Let's say we start a young quarterback and they win 7 games. They could be good, but remember, we don't have receivers. We could just need a receiver, not a quarterback in the draft.
Worst
The
spot to
odds.
be in.
Okay, first of all, the odds of a young quarterback winning 7 games with this team is slim. Number 2, the amount of games the young quarterback wins is irrelevant. How does he play?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did they
Next
win?
up-
Because if they won 7, the Browns won a lot of games 2 years ago because their defense dominated.
What if Shedeur?
Not because the quarterback play was very good.
What if Shedeur is the guy that they thought they was getting when they traded for Deshaun?
then
That's a best
then
case scenario.
beautiful. Then you're not drafting a quarterback next year.
Yeah. DB Dog 21 says it's easy to say it's just one more year when you're not out there getting hit. It's a ridiculous thing to say. Shedeur's mindset will be your search for a franchise quarterback is over.
Of course it is.
DB
Should
Dog
be.
also says, I hate people saying that Shadour Sanders may not make the team because he was a 5th-round pick. If he was rated no lower than a 2nd-round talent, that talent hasn't all of a sudden disappeared because he was picked in the 5th round.
Okay,
He was a
again,
fifth-round pick.
we don't know where he was rated just because mock drafts rated him a certain way.
You know where he's rated? 5th-round pick. That's
Fifth
where he
round
went.
pick.
That's where he went.
now,
Hey,
most 5th-round
hey,
picks.
Easy.
That's where he
Most
went.
5th-round
Not
picks
a-
make the
there's
team.
one-
So I'm an undrafted guy.
Yes. Sorry, you went undrafted.
I hate you.
One
Real
draft.
quick, well,
That's
I
most
got
it.
one more.
most 5th-round picks make the team.
Yes.
No.
Salvatore, the 216, says, we're not a better team without DG, but I feel our defensive ceiling is a lot higher without him and Mitchell on the court at the same time. There's no one to pick on.
That's fair.
Max,
No,
110,
it's not fair.
says,
Fair.
what about Jake Paul?
For what?
I have no idea what that means.
I think he was talking about
Most popular athletes?
kid. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not. Continue.
Yeah, but like, a lot of people hate Jake Paul.
Yes.
Derek Dillard says, I bet G's wife called him Darius in an intimate moment. That's why he hates him.
By the way, I never got a text back from G.
I
Bush.
called him, no answer.
He's probably sleeping.
Yeah.
That was funny.
man.
Eddie Everhart says, it makes no sense people don't want a confident quarterback. No one wants a Tim Mouse. As quarterback, people will justify anything just to fit their narrative. Go Browns. Dragon the Abandoner says, we have Miles, Hall, and now Mason on the D-line. Judkins in the backfield with Fannin and Njoku at tight end. This team will not be that bad. Coco Rex says, go Cavs, go Cards. Watch the bullpen. Halim says, I think you guys need a fan in the softball game. And Vernell Jackson says, this team is better than you guys all think.
What team? The Browns?
I assume he's referring
Are there any
to the
facts
Browns.
that back that up?
Or it's our softball team, which I do think he's right, is better than he probably
Softball
thinks.
teams could be pretty good.
Gotta just make.
All right, here we go. I'm playing first.
Wait.
All right, we get
No,
Tyvis,
no.
Dustin in the outfield.
Take the video, Steve. Take the video.
Okay.
Jason.
Oh, so this is my. That's Lyle. It's my son's buddy who said he could beat me in a car bomb race, and he was wrong.
Dude, if you lost to a kid with that hat, you couldn't even show up again.
Lyle was in the military. He's like, I can drink. I'm like, okay.
All right,
young
Lyle's
man,
in the military. Let me
Jason
make fun of his
is
hat, man.
hilarious.
Let me show you something here. Back in the day, I
Kicked
could.
his ass, man. That was impressive.
All right, we'll see you in overtime when Tyvis just said the most ridiculous comment I've ever heard. Peace.
What does Tyvis say?